What if the past wasn't just a record of what we know, but a shadowed realm of secrets that defy explanation? From vanished civilizations to inexplicable events etched in history, some mysteries are so chilling they haunt the very edges of our imagination. Who or what lies behind these unsolved enigmas? What hidden truths have been lost to time, only to resurface in whispers and warnings? Tonight, we journey through 3 hours of history's most terrifying mysteries, each more unsettling than the last. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in, if you dare. Nestled quietly within the shelves of museum collections and scattered across archaeological sites in what was once the heart of the Roman Empire, these small bronze objects captivate at first glance with their geometric precision and enigmatic presence. Known as Roman dodecahedrons, each measures just a few inches across, shaped as a 12-faced polyhedron, each face punctuated by a circular hole of varying diameter. On their surface, delicate knobs or protrusions emerge at each vertex, giving the impression of a small, alien artifact forged with an intricate, deliberate design. Found primarily in the regions of Gaul, Germania, and Britannia, dating from the 2nd to the 4th centuries AD, these objects appear at first glance to be simple, portable items. Yet their purpose remains shrouded in mystery. Scholars have debated their function for centuries. Some suggest they were measuring devices, perhaps used by surveyors or architects to calculate distances, angles, or dimensions. Others speculate they served as religious objects or ritual tools, maybe even symbols of status among Roman elites. But no single theory fully satisfies the questions these dodecahedrons raise. Why were they predominantly discovered in border regions of the Roman Empire, rather than in its bustling urban centers? Why do no contemporary Roman texts, meticulous in recording tools, military gear, and religious paraphernalia, mention them at all? Could they have been the private creations of an unknown artisan class, the existence of which has left no written record? Or were they items whose significance was so mundane to their creators that it simply did not warrant documentation? Some modern investigators have proposed more speculative theories. A small number of enthusiasts suggest they could have been instruments for astronomy, used to track celestial movements or mark lunar cycles. Others imagine them as devices for knitting or textile production, capable of guiding yarn in complex patterns. There are even fringe claims that they served as navigational tools or as objects for mystical purposes, their precise holes and symmetric forms carrying hidden knowledge lost to time. Each suggestion is fascinating, yet the lack of direct evidence forces us to confront the limits of our understanding. The dodecahedrons themselves resist easy interpretation. Each example differs subtly in size, hole diameter, and decoration, suggesting either a variety of functions or a personalized approach by their makers. Some appear meticulously balanced, while others bear the uneven patina of centuries buried in soil. Perhaps their greatest allure lies in their silence. They offer no inscriptions, no symbols, no obvious indication of their intent. Unlike coins or pottery, which broadcast their purpose to us across the centuries, these objects speak only in shape, weight, and form. Imagine holding one in your hand. The cool metal presses against your fingertips. You peer through the holes, feeling the symmetry, the precise geometry, and yet no answer emerges. Could this have been a practical tool, a ceremonial object, or something that defies categorization entirely? Every explanation seems plausible, yet none can be confirmed. The mystery of the Roman dodecahedrons reminds us that history is not always a ledger of facts neatly aligned. Some objects whisper secrets that the past has intentionally, or perhaps unintentionally, kept from us. In these small metallic polyhedrons lies a question that stretches across centuries. A question of ingenuity, culture, and the human desire to create objects whose meaning may ultimately transcend our understanding. And so, we continue to wonder, who made these objects, and for what purpose? Were they instruments of daily life, artifacts of ritual, or symbols of knowledge lost to time? The answer remains elusive, as quiet and unresolved as the dodecahedrons themselves, waiting patiently beneath layers of earth, stone, and memory, inviting us to keep looking, to keep questioning, and to remain open to the mysteries still hidden within the fabric of history. As we turn from the small, enigmatic shapes of the Roman dodecahedrons, buried quietly across Europe, our journey takes us across oceans and centuries into the dense, humid jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula, where the ancient city of Palenque rises from the green canopy like a monument to human ambition and cosmic reverence. Here, beneath the carved stone temples and towering pyramids, lies one of the most haunting and perplexing discoveries of the modern archaeological era: the tomb of the Red Queen. Discovered in 1994 by Mexican archaeologist Arnoldo González Cruz, this tomb rests within the Temple 13, a structure overshadowed by the grandeur of Palenque's Temple of the Inscriptions. The chamber itself is small and unassuming, yet what it contained was extraordinary. The remains of a noblewoman, her skeleton carefully positioned, her body adorned in layers of cinnabar, the vivid red powder that gives her the name Red Queen. The effect is arresting. The deep, blood-red hue of the tomb's interior casts a surreal, almost otherworldly glow across the bones and the artifacts surrounding them. Cultural context offers some explanation. The Mayans, renowned for their astronomical knowledge, architectural mastery, and ritual precision, often used red pigment in funerary practices to symbolize life, rebirth, and divine energy. The placement of the Red Queen within her tomb, alongside offerings of jade, shell, and obsidian, suggests she held significant status, perhaps the wife or mother of a ruling king. Yet beyond these observable details, questions abound. Who exactly was this woman? Why was she interred in this manner, so distant from the known tomb of Pakal the Great, Palenque's most famous ruler? And what secrets might her burial, preserved beneath centuries of jungle growth, still conceal? The tomb itself is carefully constructed, yet its design provokes further intrigue. Unlike Pakal's elaborate sarcophagus, the Red Queen's chamber is modest in scale but densely symbolic. The walls are lined with plaster, painted with traces of red and traces of intricate carvings. It is clear that this was not a hasty or incidental burial. Every detail was deliberate. The cinnabar itself is mysterious, a mineral that would have been difficult to procure in significant quantities, hinting at connections to far-reaching trade networks or ceremonial importance we can only begin to imagine. Some archaeologists suggest that the Red Queen may have been Lady Tsakbu Aja, a figure known from inscriptions and linked to Palenque's royal lineage, though there is no definitive evidence. Others propose she could have been a powerful matriarch, someone who wielded influence behind the throne, whose life and identity were intentionally obscured from history's official records. The absence of inscriptions bearing her name leaves her as a shadow in the archaeological record, a figure defined by presence, not words. Beyond the historical context, speculation grows as researchers examine the more unusual aspects of the tomb. The chemical composition of the cinnabar, for instance, has drawn the attention of both scientists and enthusiasts. Some studies suggest it may have been selected for its preservative properties, keeping the remains remarkably intact despite the passage of over 13 centuries. Others speculate on symbolic or mystical reasons, seeing the red powder as a link to the Mayan understanding of the underworld, celestial cycles, or even alchemical transformation. Could this burial have been more than a tribute to a noblewoman? Could it have served as a ritual act intended to connect the earthly and spiritual realms, a tangible bridge between life and death. Artifacts found within the chamber further deepen the mystery. Small, intricately carved items, jade beads, tiny figurines, and ornaments suggest personal significance, yet their exact purpose is unknown. Were they talismans, objects of devotion, or simple markers of social status? The precision of their placement implies intention, hinting at beliefs or practices now lost to us, leaving only fragments of meaning preserved in stone and pigment. Even the placement of the tomb within Temple 13 challenges assumptions. Unlike other royal burials, which are typically monumental and public, the Red Queen's resting place is tucked away, hidden from immediate view, yet still within the sacred center of the city. Why conceal such a figure? Was this a protective measure, an act of reverence, or a reflection of political intrigue within the royal court? Each possibility opens new questions, teasing at human motivations that are as complex and nuanced as the civilization itself. The Red Queen also raises broader questions about Mayan funerary practices. The Mayans were meticulous record keepers in many areas, from astronomy to architecture. Yet this woman's identity and the precise reasons for her burial style remain enigmatic. Did she represent a challenge to established social or religious norms, or was her burial a reflection of ritualistic innovation that has since been lost? Could future excavations, advances in DNA analysis, or chemical studies of the tomb's pigments reveal hidden connections to Palenque's rulers, to other distant sites, or even to broader cultural phenomena across Mesoamerica? Standing in her tomb, one can almost feel the weight of centuries pressing down, a quiet testament to human curiosity, devotion, and the persistence of mystery. The Red Queen is at once deeply human and profoundly unknowable. Her identity, her life, and the precise meaning of her burial remain suspended in time, a riddle that refuses to be solved. We are left, as we often are in archaeology, with fragments of understanding and vast stretches of uncertainty. In the cinnabar-stained chamber of Temple 13, the Red Queen lies silent, yet eloquent in her mystery. She reminds us that history is not always a series of neat explanations. Some truths remain tantalizingly out of reach, waiting for the next careful eye, the next patient study, or perhaps simply the imagination to ponder what might still be hidden. And so, we ask again, who was the Red Queen? What role did she play in the vibrant, complex world of Palenque? And what secrets, still undiscovered beneath the jungle floor, continue to whisper through time, reminding us that even the most meticulous civilizations can leave behind mysteries that defy understanding? Leaving behind the jungles of Palenque and the quiet solemnity of the Red Queen's tomb, our journey takes us thousands of miles across oceans to the rugged plateaus of northern Laos, where a landscape both breathtaking and unsettling stretches as far as the eye can see. Here, on the windswept hills and grasslands known as the Plain of Jars, thousands of massive stone vessels rise from the earth, enigmatic monuments carved from sandstone and granite, their sheer scale and scattered arrangement evoking questions that have puzzled generations of scholars and travelers alike. The jars vary in size, some barely reaching the height of a person, while others tower over 6 feet tall, their weight measured in tons. They are simple in form, cylindrical or slightly conical, hollowed out with openings at the top. Many lie partially buried in the soil, while others tilt precariously on uneven ground, as though the landscape itself has claimed them over centuries. The sight is haunting, almost surreal, an army of silent sentinels guarding secrets long forgotten. Archaeologists estimate these jars date from the Iron Age, roughly between 500 BC and 500 AD. Yet, despite their age and prominence, very little is known about their creators. The scattered nature of the jars, often in clusters of dozens or hundreds, defies immediate explanation. Were they utilitarian objects, designed for storage or transportation of food and water, as some suggest? Or did they serve a ceremonial purpose, perhaps linked to funerary practices and the treatment of the dead? Evidence of cremation has been found in and around certain jars, yet it is far from conclusive. Some researchers point to the jar's sheer size and weight as evidence of sophisticated engineering techniques for the time, techniques that raise additional questions. How did these ancient people transport and position stones weighing several tons across uneven terrain without the benefit of modern machinery? Were there forgotten technologies, or perhaps simple yet ingenious methods that allowed them to manipulate these monumental objects with precision? The scale alone is enough to challenge our assumptions about the capabilities of early societies in Southeast Asia. Speculation intensifies when one considers the jar's arrangement. They do not form predictable patterns. Their placement seems haphazard to the casual observer, yet careful study reveals subtle alignments and groupings. Some clusters appear near rivers, others atop hills, while yet others are found along ancient trade routes. Could their locations indicate a spiritual or cosmological significance, pointing to sacred sites, celestial events, or territorial boundaries? Or were they practical markers, guiding travelers or denoting community boundaries in a pre-literate society? Further intrigue arises from the jar's construction. While most are carved from local sandstone, a few are hewn from granite imported from distant quarries, implying the movement of heavy materials over considerable distances. The labor required to quarry, hollow, transport, and place these stones must have been immense, yet no records exist to explain why such an undertaking was necessary or what motivated it. Were the jars symbols of wealth, power, or devotion? Were they part of an elaborate ritual landscape whose full meaning has been lost to time? Beyond mainstream archaeological interpretations, more speculative theories have emerged. Some enthusiasts suggest that the jars were used in alchemical or mystical practices, serving as vessels for transformation, purification, or the containment of spiritual energy. Others propose that they were astronomical tools, aligned to track the movement of the sun, moon, or stars, an ancient observatory carved in stone. There are even fringe suggestions that the jars are remnants of a forgotten civilization, predating the known cultures of Laos entirely. Each idea tantalizes the imagination, yet none can be confirmed. The jar's enduring mystery is compounded by the environment in which they rest. The region was heavily bombed during the Indo-China conflicts of the 20th century, leaving unexploded ordnance scattered across the hills. Many jars bear scars or have been displaced by later disturbances, yet despite these challenges, they remain remarkably intact, a testament to the resilience of stone and the persistence of history. The juxtaposition of human conflict and ancient artistry adds an additional layer of poignancy. Here are objects created millennia ago, surviving centuries of natural erosion and modern turmoil, still whispering secrets to those willing to listen. Walking among these colossal vessels, one can almost imagine the hands that carved them, the communities that shaped and moved them, and the ceremonies or daily lives that revolved around them. Each jar invites reflection, as its hollow interior echoes not only the past, but the uncertainty of our understanding. What did these containers hold? Food, water, or human remains? Or did their purpose transcend the material, acting as conduits between the living and the unseen realms of spirit and death? The plane of jars challenges our desire for neat explanations. It reminds us that history is not always a chain of clear events, but a landscape of questions, observations, and possibilities. The jars are monuments to human curiosity and ambition, yet they remain silent, their meaning suspended in time, waiting for future discovery or interpretation. And so we are left to wonder, why were these jars placed here, in these remote hills of Laos? Who were the people who carved and moved them, and what compelled them to create something so monumental without leaving written records? What other secrets might be buried beneath the earth, waiting to be revealed, silently testifying to civilizations that once flourished and vanished without a trace? In the shadows of these towering stone vessels, the mystery endures, as timeless and elusive as the very people who shaped them. As the windswept hills of Laos fade from view and the silent stone jars recede into memory, our journey moves to the rugged landscapes of central Anatolia in modern-day Turkey. Here, beneath the sun-scorched valleys and volcanic rock formations of Cappadocia, lies one of the most astonishing and enigmatic human constructions ever discovered, the underground city of Derinkuyu. From above, the terrain appears unremarkable, dotted with fairy chimneys and eroded rock pinnacles. Yet beneath the surface, a labyrinthine world stretches for kilometers, carved meticulously into soft volcanic tuff, hidden from sight and memory for centuries. The entrance to Derinkuyu is modest, a simple doorway leading down a narrow, descending passage. But as one ventures further, the scale and complexity of the city become almost unimaginable. 8 floors have been excavated so far, revealing a sprawling network of tunnels, chambers, and hidden passageways capable of housing thousands of inhabitants. The air grows cooler and heavier. Shadows stretch across carved stone staircases, and the quiet hum of history seems to echo through the chambers. It is a place that defies immediate comprehension, a subterranean city built to endure, yet shrouded in mystery. Historical records suggest that Derinkuyu may have been first constructed by the Phrygians in the 8th century BC, with later expansion during Byzantine times. It is thought to have served as a refuge for local populations during invasions and raids, a city built to disappear beneath the earth when danger approached. Yet the engineering required to create such a labyrinth is staggering. Massive stone doors, some weighing several tons, could be rolled into place to seal off entire sections. Ventilation shafts reach hundreds of feet into the surface, providing air to lower levels. Wells, stables, kitchens, communal spaces, and even chapels are all interconnected in a design that speaks to both ingenuity and forethought. But even with these practical explanations, questions abound. How did the builders manage to coordinate the excavation of such a vast structure without modern tools? Could this city have been expanded over generations, layer upon layer, with careful planning that somehow avoided collapse or structural failure? And why, despite its size and significance, did Derinkuyu remain hidden for so long, only rediscovered by accident in the 1960s when a local man cleared a wall in his home and stumbled upon the entrance? The purpose of the city itself invites further speculation. While many scholars emphasize its use as a defensive refuge, others suggest that Derinkuyu may have held ceremonial or spiritual significance. Could the design of the tunnels, winding staircases, and hidden chambers reflect a symbolic journey, a subterranean path from the mundane world into a sacred or protected space? Might the city have been used for extended periods of ritual retreat, education, or clandestine activity? The very notion of entire communities living underground raises questions about the social, psychological, and cultural structures necessary to sustain such life. The city's construction materials and techniques also provoke curiosity. Carved from soft tuff, the rock is surprisingly durable, yet manageable for excavation. Still, creating hundreds of interconnected rooms and passages without modern machinery would have required enormous labor, organization, and perhaps knowledge passed down through generations. Some researchers have suggested that the builders may have possessed a deeper understanding of geology and engineering than is often credited to ancient societies. Could there be lost methods, now forgotten, that allowed them to shape the Earth on such a monumental scale? Even the defensive features of Derinkuyu are remarkable. Narrow tunnels could easily be blocked by rolling stone doors, restricting access and protecting inhabitants from invaders. Strategic choke points, ventilation shafts, and hidden exits suggest that safety and secrecy were paramount considerations. Yet no clear records explain who the intended occupants were at each stage of its construction, or whether these features were designed in response to specific threats or as a precaution against an imagined enemy. The city seems both practical and enigmatic, a fusion of necessity and ingenuity that continues to intrigue historians and archaeologists alike. Speculative theories have naturally arisen around such an extraordinary site. Some enthusiasts have suggested that Derinkuyu may have been a refuge for priests or mystics, or even a hidden repository for sacred knowledge and artifacts. Others propose that its design mirrors cosmic or astronomical symbolism, embedding spiritual or celestial meaning into the very layout of the tunnels. While these ideas remain unconfirmed, they underscore the tension between what we can prove and what the imagination can contemplate when confronted with a human achievement so vast and precise. Walking through the cool, shadowed corridors of Derinkuyu, one can almost feel the presence of those who lived and worked here centuries ago, their lives constrained by rock, yet preserved in a labyrinth of enduring stone. Each doorway, stairway, and chamber speaks to human resilience, ingenuity, and the instinct for survival. Yet the city's silence also reminds us of its mysteries, the true motivations behind its construction, the identities of its earliest architects, and the extent of its original size remain unknown. Derinkuyu challenges our understanding of ancient civilizations. It reminds us that human ingenuity has long reached heights that continue to astound, and that some achievements, no matter how well documented or physically preserved, carry secrets we may never fully decipher. It is a monument not only to survival, but to the questions that history leaves unanswered. Questions that beckon explorers, archaeologists, and dreamers alike. And so, as we emerge from the subterranean world and ascend into the light of Cappadocia's valleys, we are left with the enduring question: why was such a city necessary, and what stories did it witness in the shadows below? What other subterranean wonders might still lie hidden, waiting silently beneath the earth, challenging us to uncover their secrets, and reminding us that even in the light of modern knowledge, some mysteries of the past remain deeply, profoundly unknown. From the hidden chambers beneath Cappadocia's hills, our journey now carries us to the remote expanse of the South Pacific, to a speck of land so isolated that its mysteries seem amplified by the vast ocean surrounding it. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui as it is known to its people, rises from the sea like a solitary monument to human endeavor, a place where monumental stone statues gaze silently across the horizon, and the wind carries whispers of a forgotten past. Yet beyond the iconic moai, there exists another, more subtle enigma, one that has puzzled historians, linguists, and anthropologists for generations: the Rongorongo script. Rongorongo is a system of glyphs, intricately carved into wooden tablets, staffs, and panels, dating from the 13th to the 17th century AD. The symbols range from abstract shapes to recognizable forms: birds, fish, human figures, and geometric motifs, arranged in lines and sequences that appear deliberate, patterned, and purposeful. Unlike the monumental moai, these artifacts are fragile, wooden carriers of knowledge whose significance has been obscured by time, decay, and the upheavals that have shaped Easter Island's history. The island itself is striking, a volcanic landscape of rolling hills, crater lakes, and rugged coastlines. Standing on the volcanic soil, one can almost feel the tension between isolation and creativity, the same tension that perhaps birthed the Rongorongo script. These inscriptions are rare. Fewer than 30 tablets survive today, each carved with painstaking precision. They are read boustrophodonically. Lines alternate direction, requiring the reader to turn the tablet to follow the sequence. It is a system that speaks to sophistication and intentionality, yet its meaning remains stubbornly elusive. Scholars have long debated the purpose of Rongorongo. Some suggest it represents a form of proto-writing, a mnemonic aid for oral traditions used to preserve genealogies, chants, or religious practices. Others argue it could be a fully functional writing system, a script used to record law, history, or ritual instruction. The problem lies not in the complexity or clarity of the glyphs, but in the absence of a Rosetta Stone, a bilingual text or key that could reveal its meaning. The catastrophic events of the 18th and 19th centuries, including disease, colonial disruption, and the destruction of cultural artifacts, left the script disconnected from its cultural context. The discovery of Rongorongo in the 19th century by European explorers was met with fascination and frustration. Early attempts to decode the tablets were speculative, often projecting external linguistic frameworks onto an indigenous system that may not conform to familiar patterns. Modern computational analysis and comparative studies have offered new insights, yet progress is slow. Could Rongorongo encode historical records, astronomical data, or ritual knowledge? Or is it a ceremonial script, meaningful in practice rather than in literal transcription, its value tied to performance, recitation, or sacred repetition rather than simple reading? Further intrigue arises when considering the relationship between Rongorongo and the island's other achievements. The moai themselves are feats of engineering, moving colossal stone figures across uneven terrain. Could the script have functioned as part of a broader societal system, a means to transmit technical, religious, or administrative knowledge? The possibility suggests a civilization more complex and literate than often assumed, capable of abstract representation and symbolic communication on multiple levels. Speculative theories abound. Some researchers propose that Rongorongo may contain encoded astronomical information, reflecting the observation of stars, seasons, or celestial events vital to agricultural and ritual cycles. Others imagine it as a repository of sacred incantations, chants, or genealogical records meant to guide and protect the community in times of crisis. More fringe hypotheses suggest connections to distant cultures, lost scripts, or knowledge exchanged via voyaging, yet these remain unconfirmed, tantalizing possibilities rather than evidence-based conclusions. The physical artifacts themselves are compelling. The wood of the tablets is now fragile, weathered by centuries of exposure and handling, yet the carvings remain precise, deliberate, and methodical. The repetition of certain glyphs hints at syntax, patterns, or rules, suggesting an internal logic to the script. Yet without contextual knowledge of language, culture, and ritual, the meaning is locked away, like a voice speaking from the past that we cannot fully understand. The mystery of Rongorongo is heightened by the isolation of Easter Island. Cut off from major trade routes, surrounded by thousands of kilometers of ocean, the society that created this script developed in extraordinary seclusion. Could the script have evolved independently, a unique manifestation of human ingenuity in isolation? Or was it influenced by fleeting contact with other Polynesian cultures, carrying echoes of knowledge that have since been lost? Each question deepens the sense of wonder and complexity. Walking among the moai and gazing at the tablets in museums or collections, one can almost sense the rhythm of a society that balanced isolation, creativity, and ritual. Rongorongo is not merely a set of symbols. It is a testament to human aspiration, the drive to communicate, record, and preserve knowledge in the face of impermanence and obscurity. And yet, the script refuses to reveal its secrets fully, standing as a reminder of the limits of our understanding. We are left with a profound, lingering question. What exactly did Rongorongo encode, and why? Was it a practical record, a sacred text, or a combination of both? And how much knowledge of the island's past has vanished with the destruction of its original context? In the quiet spaces between the carved lines, in the fragile wood preserved against time and tide, the mystery endures, inviting us to reflect on what has been lost and what might still be discovered. Even in the age of modern technology, Easter Island guards its secrets. Rongorongo, like the Moai, is a silent witness to the ingenuity, spirituality, and complexity of a civilization that flourished in isolation. And as we consider the script today, we are reminded that some mysteries do not yield easily, challenging us not only to decode symbols but to understand the people who created them, and the profound human desire to leave a mark that survives long after memory fades. From the windswept isolation of Easter Island and the silent symbols of Rongorongo, our journey now carries us across continents to the sun-baked plains of Lebanon, where one of the most astonishing and imposing feats of ancient construction waits quietly in the town of Baalbek. Here, beneath the shadow of modern structures, massive stone blocks, known as the Trilithon, rest in place, almost impossibly precise, challenging both imagination and conventional understanding. The scale alone is overwhelming. Each block stretches over 19 meters in length, rises more than 4 meters high, and weighs an estimated 800 tons. The sheer magnitude of these stones evokes awe, yet also an unsettling question. How were they moved and positioned with such apparent mastery thousands of years ago? Baalbek itself is a site layered with history, a place where the Roman and pre-Roman civilizations intersected in grandeur and ambition. The Trilithon stones form part of the Temple of Jupiter, a monumental platform designed to host one of the largest religious structures of the ancient world. The Romans arrived and built atop foundations that likely predated them, hinting at a history even deeper than recorded texts suggest. The colossal stones, precisely cut and aligned, suggest planning and engineering skills that continue to inspire both admiration and speculation. Archaeologists have proposed several practical explanations. Some suggest that the stones were quarried from nearby hills and moved using a combination of rollers, ramps, and levers. Others point to the ingenuity of Roman engineering, which indeed achieved remarkable feats across the empire. Yet the enormity of the Trilithon pushes these explanations to their limits. How could blocks weighing hundreds of tons be transported with such precision in an era without modern machinery? Could there have been methods now lost to time, techniques carefully guarded or forgotten, that allowed these builders to manipulate stone on a monumental scale? The precise arrangement of the stones further deepens the mystery. The Trilithon blocks sit with uncanny alignment, perfectly level despite their size, and appear designed to interlock in a manner that has preserved their stability for millennia. Some stones, carved with grooves and indentations, hint at sophisticated tools and careful measurement. The very act of quarrying, shaping, and situating such massive stones in a stable formation suggests not just technical skill, but an advanced understanding of engineering principles that still fascinate researchers today. Beyond the practical considerations, the Trilithon raises questions about cultural intent. Why build such enormous foundations? And what was the symbolic meaning behind their monumental scale? The Temple of Jupiter itself is dedicated to celestial and divine observation, a site where architecture, ritual, and cosmology converge. Could the stones have been intended to convey power and permanence, to inspire awe in worshippers or visitors? Or might their size have had spiritual or mystical significance, serving as an earthly reflection of cosmic order? The truth, like the stones themselves, is colossal and resistant to simple interpretation. Speculative theories abound. Some suggest that the Trilithon predates the Romans entirely, part of a civilization lost to history, a people whose knowledge of quarrying and construction surpasses what is commonly assumed of the ancient Near East. Others propose that the stones were aligned with astronomical markers, perhaps linked to solstices, equinoxes, or the tracking of celestial events, an interpretation that connects physical labor with celestial observation. There are even fringe theories proposing the involvement of advanced, now vanished civilizations with unknown technologies. While these ideas remain speculative, they underscore the enduring fascination and the gaps in our understanding. The context of Baalbek adds another layer of intrigue. Throughout history, this region has been a crossroads of empires, cultures, and religions. Roman, Greek, Phoenician, and pre-Roman civilizations all left traces here, yet none fully explain the methods or intent behind the Trilithon. Could the platform on which the Temple of Jupiter stands have been a ceremonial site long before the Romans arrived, with knowledge and techniques passed down and modified over generations? And if so, what was the original purpose of such colossal stones in a pre-Roman context? Walking along the massive blocks, one is struck not only by their scale, but by their silence. There are no inscriptions recording the labor, no pictorial guides detailing the construction, and yet the stones remain, steadfast against centuries of earthquakes, erosion, and human intervention. They are monuments to human ambition, yes, but also to mystery. The absence of concrete evidence invites imagination, allowing the mind to trace the hands that shaped, moved, and positioned these stones, and to wonder at the societies capable of such feats. The Trilithon of Baalbek stands as a testament to both human ingenuity and the enduring enigma of the past. It reminds us that some creations are more than utilitarian. They are declarations of aspiration, symbols of permanence, and puzzles carved into the very earth. The stones challenge our understanding of history, pushing us to consider not just what ancient peoples could do, but why they might choose to do it on a scale so vast it still defies replication today. And so, as we step back from the sunlit platform and gaze upon the colossal blocks, we are left with a profound, lingering question. Who first envisioned these stones, and how were they brought into place with such precision? What knowledge, lost to time, allowed these builders to manipulate materials on such a scale? And what other secrets lie hidden in the foundations of Baalbek, waiting silently beneath stone, soil, and memory, challenging us to uncover them and reminding us that some mysteries endure unbroken across millennia? From the monumental stones of Baalbek, where human ingenuity meets the impossible, we now journey eastward to the tranquil waters of China's Yunnan province, to the deep and mysterious expanse of Lake Fuxian. At first glance, it is a place of serenity, rippling blue waters framed by lush hills, a landscape that seems untouched by the passage of centuries. Yet beneath the placid surface lies a secret that has captured the imagination of archaeologists, divers, and historians alike. A submerged city, ancient and silent, waiting beneath layers of sediment and time. The discovery of the city beneath Lake Fuxian dates back several decades, but it has remained largely enigmatic, known to only a handful of researchers. Using sonar scanning and diving expeditions, scientists have mapped structures that suggest streets, building foundations, and even what appear to be city walls. The stonework is precise, the layout organized, hinting at a civilization of remarkable planning and sophistication. For those who first glimpsed these submerged ruins, the realization was breathtaking. A city, deliberately constructed and lost beneath the water, preserved in quiet obscurity for centuries. Historical records offer tantalizing clues but no clear answers. Yunnan province has been home to various cultures since ancient times, including groups associated with the Dian Kingdom, which flourished between the 6th century BC and the 1st century AD. Could this submerged city be linked to the Dian people, whose settlements and burial mounds dot the surrounding hills? Archaeologists speculate that it may have been an administrative center or a ceremonial site, yet the scale and precision of the structures suggest a level of urban sophistication that seems extraordinary for the era. The mystery deepens when considering how the city came to be submerged. Was it the result of natural disaster, flooding, tectonic activity, or the gradual rising of the lake, or a deliberate human decision to abandon and conceal it? Some evidence points to seismic activity in the region, suggesting that earthquakes could have altered the landscape dramatically, while other findings hint at purposeful construction near the water's edge, indicating the inhabitants may have built with adaptation to the lake in mind. The true cause, however, remains unresolved, leaving the city suspended between history and speculation. The architecture of the submerged city raises further questions. Stone blocks appear to be fitted with remarkable precision, forming rectangular foundations, terraces, and what may have been communal spaces or defensive structures. The materials and construction methods suggest skilled craftsmanship, yet no contemporary accounts describe such a settlement. Could this represent a lost chapter of regional history, an entire community erased from the written record? Or is it possible that the city belonged to a culture that deliberately chose secrecy or isolation, leaving behind only the silent testimony of stone beneath water? Speculative interpretations naturally arise. Some researchers propose that the city may have been a ceremonial or religious hub, designed to align with seasonal cycles, celestial events, or the movements of the sun and moon. Others suggest it could have functioned as a trade or administrative center, controlling access to resources or connecting inland settlements with distant regions. More fringe theories even hint at cultural connections with other ancient civilizations, though evidence remains circumstantial. Each possibility underscores the tantalizing blend of the known and the unknown that defines this submerged site. The preservation of the city beneath water adds both intrigue and challenge. The lake acts as a natural shield, slowing erosion and preventing looting. Yet it also makes excavation difficult, limiting access and the ability to conduct detailed study. Divers describe walking over streets of stone, past walls that rise just beneath the surface, and discovering pottery shards, tiles, and objects that suggest daily life once flourished here. The artifacts hint at a civilization with domestic routines, social hierarchies, and cultural practices, yet the absence of written records leaves interpretation speculative. The broader context of Lake Fuxian itself is compelling. It is one of China's deepest freshwater lakes, a site of rich biodiversity, yet its depth and expanse conceal this human-made secret. The very waters that nurture life also guard history, creating a paradox where the lake is both life-giving and memory-preserving. Could the submersion have been intentional, a cultural response to threat or environmental change? Or is it a stark reminder of nature's power to reclaim human achievement, transforming a bustling settlement into a silent underwater relic? Walking along the shores of the lake, one can almost imagine the lives of the people who once inhabited this city. Merchants carrying goods along the streets, families tending to homes, priests or leaders performing rituals in communal spaces. The city's disappearance beneath water has not erased its presence entirely. It remains, quiet and inscrutable, a testament to human ambition, vulnerability, and the mysteries that endure when written history falls silent. The lost city of Lake Fuxian challenges our understanding of ancient civilizations, reminding us that even in regions well documented historically, entire chapters of human ingenuity can vanish beneath water, soil, or time. It poses questions not only about engineering and urban planning, but about the social, cultural, and spiritual lives of its inhabitants. Who were they? Why did they build such a city in this precise location? And what forces, human, natural, or both, led to its ultimate submersion? And so, As we gaze across the glassy surface of Lake Fuxian, reflecting the surrounding hills and clouds, we are left with an enduring mystery. The city beneath the water waits silently, preserving its secrets, inviting exploration, and challenging us to consider what else might lie hidden in the depths. In its submerged streets and foundations, history whispers, reminding us that the past is often more complex and elusive than we can imagine, and that some stories remain suspended waiting for discovery. From the tranquil waters of Lake Fuxian, where an entire city slumbers beneath centuries of sediment and silence, our journey carries us thousands of miles westward to the arid expanses of Egypt's Saqqara necropolis. Here, amid the sands and tombs that have guarded human memory for millennia, archaeologists have unearthed an object so small yet so enigmatic that it continues to confound historians, engineers, and aviation enthusiasts alike: the Saqqara bird. Discovered in 1898 within a tomb dated to approximately 200 BC during the Ptolemaic period of Egypt, the artifact is deceptively simple at first glance. Carved from sycamore wood and resembling a bird in flight, it measures just 15 centimeters in length, with wings tapered and a tail that curves gracefully. Its surface is unadorned except for faint incisions suggesting feathers, and its proportions appear intentional, not decorative. Yet it is precisely this simplicity that has sparked centuries of curiosity. Could this small wooden object have been merely symbolic, or does it hint at something far more sophisticated, a technology centuries ahead of its time? Scholars generally agree that the Saqqara bird was placed in a tomb as part of the burial goods accompanying a noble or priestly individual, possibly as an offering to the gods or as a symbolic representation of the soul's journey into the afterlife. In ancient Egyptian belief, birds often symbolized freedom, the spirit, and the sky itself, an ideal metaphor for the journey of the deceased into the realm of the divine. Yet upon closer examination, the artifact raises questions that defy easy interpretation. Its design exhibits features remarkably similar to the aerodynamics of modern aircraft: a slightly curved fuselage, wings that taper with lift in mind, and a tail that could provide stability in flight. The resemblance is striking enough to invite a deeper, more technical analysis. Experimental studies have attempted to determine whether the Saqqara bird could actually fly. Models constructed according to the artifact's exact dimensions have been tested in wind tunnels and open-air experiments. Some researchers argue that, with proper technique, it could glide with surprising stability, its small size allowing it to mimic a boomerang or gliding bird. Others suggest that its shape may simply reflect an artistic abstraction, a stylized representation of a bird's form with no intention of flight. Yet the precision of the angles and curvature continues to raise eyebrows. Did ancient Egyptians truly understand aspects of aerodynamics long before formal study of flight? Or is this a coincidence born of careful observation of nature and symbolic design? The context of Saqqara adds layers of complexity to the mystery. The necropolis is home to some of Egypt's earliest pyramids, including the Step Pyramid of Djoser, and thousands of tombs that testify to centuries of innovation in construction, artistry, and religious symbolism. Egyptians of this period were remarkably advanced in their understanding of geometry, material properties, and observational science. Could the Saqqara bird have been a practical experiment, a miniature prototype for gliding or flight concepts? Some researchers speculate that the artifact may have been used as a toy or ceremonial object designed to demonstrate flight principles symbolically rather than functionally. Yet speculation often pushes further. A handful of engineers and enthusiasts have suggested that the bird represents evidence that ancient civilizations experimented with principles of aviation long before the modern era. Its proportions, the slight upward curve of the wings, and the weight distribution appear remarkably precise for an era with no engines, propellers, or formal understanding of aerodynamics. Could it have been a tool for teaching or experimentation, a sacred object that doubled as a mechanical prototype? Or does it reflect a lost understanding of flight, a skill observed in birds and harnessed in small wooden forms that were never fully documented? Other interpretations remain firmly grounded in symbolic meaning. Birds in Egyptian mythology were associated with the Ba, or the spiritual aspect of a person's soul. The Saqqara bird, therefore, might represent the deceased's ability to travel freely in the afterlife, to rise toward the heavens, or to participate in divine journeys. From this perspective, the artifact is less an experiment and more a tangible metaphor, a miniature vessel that embodies spiritual concepts rather than technological ones. Yet even this explanation leaves questions unanswered. Why was the shape so precisely aerodynamic, if the intent was purely symbolic? Was there an overlap between symbolic representation and observational science in Ptolemaic Egypt that we fail to fully grasp? Some fringe theories push the boundaries even further. Certain enthusiasts suggest that the Saqqara bird is evidence of lost ancient technologies, possibly influenced by unknown knowledge systems or even contact with civilizations not yet documented. While these ideas are speculative and controversial, they reflect the enduring fascination the artifact inspires. It challenges conventional narratives about technological progress and invites us to consider the ingenuity and observational skills of ancient peoples. The artifact itself continues to inspire both awe and reflection. Its delicate form has survived over 2 millennia, preserved in a tomb that has witnessed centuries of sand, wind, and human curiosity. Its wooden surface, now fragile, retains the careful shaping of hands long gone, hands that may have observed birds in flight and translated those movements into miniature symbolic form. The Saqqara bird stands as a testament to human creativity, bridging art, observation, and perhaps even engineering in ways that continue to puzzle and inspire. Even today, the questions linger. Was the Saqqara bird a ceremonial object, a teaching tool, an experiment in flight, or something else entirely? Could it represent a lost chapter of Egyptian ingenuity, a glimpse into knowledge that combined careful observation of nature with abstract thinking? And if so, what other secrets might remain hidden in tombs, temples, and ancient workshops, waiting for the patient eye to uncover them? As we hold the image of the artifact in our minds, a small wooden bird, its wings poised as if to soar, we are reminded that even the tiniest objects can carry enormous mysteries. The Saqqara bird challenges our assumptions, blurring the line between the symbolic and the practical, the ancient and the modern. It compels us to ask, how much of human knowledge has been lost, hidden in plain sight, or intentionally encoded in ways that defy straightforward understanding? And what does this small, unassuming artifact reveal about the breadth of human curiosity, imagination, and ambition in a world we can only partially reconstruct? In the quiet chambers of Saqqara, amidst the tombs of kings and nobles, the Saqqara bird rests, silent yet eloquent, a mystery carved in wood. It reminds us that history is not always linear, and that the human capacity for invention, observation, and symbolic thought has long been richer and more complex than we often allow ourselves to imagine. In its curves and proportions, it asks us to wonder, to explore, and to recognize that even a single artifact can open a window to questions far larger than itself. Questions that endure across millennia, waiting patiently for those who seek to understand. From the silent tombs of Saqqara and the small wooden enigma of the Saqqara bird, our journey now carries us across continents and oceans to the lush, verdant highlands of Ecuador. Here, in a remote and scarcely explored region, lies a discovery that has perplexed archaeologists, metallurgists, and historians alike. A mysterious collection of metallic artifacts, often referred to as the Metal Library of Ecuador. Unlike the traditional manuscripts or scrolls that preserve knowledge in ink or on clay, these objects appear as metallic plates, discs, and sheets, etched with intricate symbols and pictographs, their origin and purpose defying conventional explanation. The first reports of these metallic artifacts emerged in the mid-20th century, though their presence may have been known locally for generations. Researchers describe thousands of thin sheets of a silvery gray metal, some flexible, others rigid, each engraved with patterns, glyphs, and figures that suggest deliberate communication or recording. The symbols themselves are unfamiliar, distinct from any known pre-Columbian writing system, and resist translation using standard linguistic frameworks. Scholars have debated whether the engravings represent an unknown language, symbolic art, astronomical charts, or a combination of all three. The artifacts are astonishing not only for their symbolic complexity, but for the material from which they are made. Initial metallurgical analyses indicate a composition unusually high in aluminum, combined with other trace elements, yet the manufacturing techniques appear far beyond what was possible in pre-Columbian Ecuador, or anywhere else in the world at the time these objects are believed to have been created. Aluminum, while common today, was historically difficult to extract and refine before the 19th century, raising profound questions about how these sheets were fabricated. Were the ancients experimenting with unknown methods of metallurgy, or do the artifacts suggest knowledge lost to history? Many theories attempt to account for the library in more conventional terms. Some suggest that it represents ritualistic or ceremonial objects designed to encode sacred knowledge or cosmological concepts in metal rather than paper or stone. Others propose that the engravings contain astronomical or calendrical information, meant to guide agricultural practices, religious events, or societal organization. The precision and repetition in certain sequences hint at systematic thought, yet no one has been able to establish a definitive key or translation. Speculative interpretations push the boundaries further. Could the metal library be evidence of an advanced civilization, one whose knowledge of metallurgy, astronomy, or symbolic communication far exceeded that of contemporaneous cultures? Some enthusiasts suggest that these objects may preserve knowledge deliberately encoded for future generations, perhaps intended as a repository of technological, spiritual, or cosmological wisdom. Others argue that the metallic sheets may be a form of proto-writing, designed to survive the elements longer than conventional organic materials, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of preservation and the longevity of knowledge. The environment in which these artifacts were found only heightens the mystery. Nestled in the Andes, in regions difficult to access, the objects were often discovered buried under layers of soil, protected by caves or rock overhangs. Could this placement indicate intentional concealment, a deliberate attempt to safeguard knowledge from destruction, theft, or natural disaster? Or were the objects simply remnants of a lost civilization, buried by centuries of erosion and human neglect, awaiting rediscovery? The ambiguity invites questions that stretch the limits of imagination and scholarly interpretation alike. The engravings themselves are remarkable. Birds, serpents, geometric shapes, and enigmatic humanoid figures are etched with precision, each line suggesting intention and skill. Some panels appear to form sequences, as if they were designed to be read in a particular order, while others seem independent, isolated in meaning or function. Attempts to compare the symbols with known scripts, from Incan quipus to Mayan glyphs, have largely failed, leaving open the possibility that the metal library represents an entirely unique system of communication. Could it be a combination of symbolic, artistic, and technical knowledge, a hybrid meant to encode information in a way that transcends conventional language? Further intrigue arises when considering the potential age of the artifacts. Radiocarbon and stratigraphic analyses have provided tentative estimates placing some items at several centuries BC, though controversy persists due to the difficulty of dating metal directly. If the objects indeed predate the widespread extraction and use of aluminum, the implications are staggering. Could ancient peoples have mastered metallurgical processes lost to history, or does this suggest contact with an unknown source of knowledge, a forgotten lineage of artisans and scientists whose methods vanished over time? The sheer density of questions surrounding the metal library challenges our assumptions about the history of technology, literacy, and cultural exchange. How were these artifacts produced, and by whom? Were they practical, ceremonial, educational, or symbolic? And perhaps most puzzling of all, what knowledge was deemed so vital that it was engraved in metal and hidden away, rather than written in more conventional media? The uncertainty invites reflection, demanding both skepticism and open-minded curiosity in equal measure. As we imagine the process, it is impossible not to picture the hands that crafted these sheets. Careful, deliberate, guided by purpose and precision. Each line etched, each curve carved, speaks to observation, understanding, and perhaps a desire to communicate across the centuries. The Metal Library of Ecuador stands as a testament to human ingenuity, but also as a challenge, a puzzle that defies straightforward answers and reminds us that human history is not always linear, not always documented, and often richer and stranger than we expect. The mystery is further amplified by the modern context. Many artifacts remain in private collections or local museums, their provenance difficult to trace, their significance debated. Explorers and researchers continue to speculate, but no comprehensive study has yet provided conclusive interpretations. The Metal Library remains, in essence, a whisper from the past, a message waiting for the patient eye and the careful mind. And so, as we stand amid the Andean highlands, gazing upon these metallic sheets with their cryptic engravings, we are left with an enduring question. What knowledge did they preserve, and why was it hidden beneath soil and rock for centuries? Were these objects created as a record of human achievement, spiritual insight, or technological ingenuity? And what other secrets might remain concealed in the remote corners of our world, waiting silently for discovery? The Metal Library of Ecuador reminds us that history is rarely straightforward, and that some mysteries endure, quietly defying understanding, challenging us to seek, to wonder, and to imagine. From the verdant highlands of Ecuador and the enigmatic metallic engravings of the so-called Metal Library, our journey now carries us across continents and centuries to the sun-baked island of Crete in the eastern Mediterranean. Amid its ancient ruins, where Minoan civilization once flourished, lies a small clay artifact whose simplicity belies its perplexing complexity, the Phaistos disk. Unearthed in 1908 within the archaeological site of Phaistos, this circular object has captivated historians, linguists, and cryptographers for over a century, yet its meaning remains elusive, a puzzle no one has conclusively solved. The disk itself measures roughly 15 centimeters in diameter and is composed of fired clay, remarkably well preserved despite the passage of time. What distinguishes it from other artifacts of the era is the script stamped into its surface, 74 individual symbols arranged in a spiral, spiraling inward from the edge to the center on both sides. Each symbol, ranging from human figures and animals to tools, plants, and abstract motifs, was impressed with what appears to be individual stamps, an extraordinary method that suggests a deliberate system of recording or communication. It is the only known artifact of its kind, a singular testament to creativity and methodical craftsmanship in the ancient world. Archaeologists date the disk to approximately 1700 BC, during the height of the Minoan civilization, a society renowned for its palaces, advanced urban planning, intricate art, and early writing systems. Linear A, the still undeciphered script used elsewhere on Crete, hints at an advanced culture of record-keeping and symbolic thought, yet the Phaistos disk stands apart. Its stamped symbols suggest a level of standardization rarely seen in contemporaneous scripts, indicating the possibility of mass production or dissemination of standardized messages, even though no additional examples have ever been found. The purpose of the disk is as puzzling as its method of production. Some scholars propose that it was used for ceremonial or religious purposes, perhaps as a ritual object imbued with symbolic meaning. Others suggest it might contain practical information, administrative records, instructions, or codes relevant to trade, governance, or agriculture. The spiral arrangement itself raises questions. Was the disk meant to be read in a particular direction, perhaps clockwise or counterclockwise? Could it have been recited aloud, sung, or otherwise activated in ritual performance, its content transmitted orally even if its symbols remain indecipherable to us today? The uniqueness of the artifact fuels endless speculation. How could an entire system of signs, stamped with such care and precision, exist as a singular object in the archaeological record? Was the Phaistos disk a prototype, a test of a new writing system that never caught on? Or might it have been a specialized tool, intended for a limited audience whose significance was never meant for the general population? The absence of additional examples or corroborating texts has left these questions largely unanswered, allowing the disk to occupy a liminal space between historical fact and unsolved enigma. Many attempts have been made to decode the disk, employing linguistic analysis, pattern recognition, and modern computational methods. Some researchers have drawn parallels to linear A and B scripts, proposing phonetic or syllabic interpretations, yet no consensus has emerged. Others have examined the disk from symbolic or ritualistic perspectives, hypothesizing that the engravings represent mythological narratives, calendrical information, or instructions for religious practice. The difficulty lies not only in the obscurity of the symbols themselves, but in the total absence of contextual materials that might shed light on the disk's function, audience, or intended meaning. Speculative interpretations extend even further. Could the disk reflect knowledge that was experimental, intellectual, or esoteric? A form of communication preserved by a small elite of scribes or priests? Some suggest it may encode astronomical, mathematical, or calendrical information, a manual for observation or calculation carefully recorded in a medium that was both durable and portable. Others propose that the disk represents a form of mnemonic device, a tool for teaching or memory rather than literal textual communication. Each hypothesis underscores the profound ambiguity of this singular artifact, a puzzle that continues to confound conventional understanding. The method of production itself invites awe. Each symbol was stamped individually, suggesting the use of pre-made molds or punches, an extraordinary innovation for its time. This technique indicates forethought, planning, and a concern for standardization rarely seen in other artifacts of the Bronze Age. The process would have required not only technical skill, but conceptual innovation, to conceive of a set of reusable stamps, each representing distinct semantic or symbolic elements arranged in a coherent spiral. It is a sophisticated fusion of artistry, craftsmanship, and proto-linguistic thinking. Even the location of the disk's discovery adds layers to the mystery. Found in a storage room beneath the Minoan palace at Phaistos, the disk was surrounded by ordinary pottery and other administrative items, suggesting it was part of the daily operations of palace life rather than an isolated treasure. Yet its uniqueness in form and content implies a function beyond the mundane. Was it a private artifact, intended for the use of a single scribe or priest, or a ceremonial object whose significance was understood intuitively rather than through explicit literacy? The paradox of its discovery location deepens the intrigue. The enduring mystery of the Phaistos disk reminds us that human history is not always linear or fully documented. Civilizations can produce remarkable innovations, some of which survive only in fragments, while others disappear entirely from the written record. This clay disk, with its spiral of mysterious symbols, stands as a testament to human ingenuity, curiosity, and the desire to communicate complex ideas, even when the methods or audience are lost to time. As we contemplate the disk, we are compelled to ask fundamental questions. What was the intention behind its creation, and who would have used it? Was it meant to record history, encode ritual practice, or transmit knowledge now lost to us? And if it truly represents a form of writing, why has no parallel survived? The Phaistos disk embodies the tension between human ambition and the limits of archaeological knowledge, challenging us to consider what might be forever hidden in the gaps of the past. Even now, in museum displays and scholarly articles, the disk retains an almost magnetic allure. It speaks not with words, but with presence, inviting the observer to ponder, to wonder, and to recognize that the past often resists our attempts at full comprehension. In its clay spiral, we encounter both the genius and the enigma of the Minoans, a culture capable of remarkable artistry and innovation, yet leaving us with questions that remain unanswered across more than 3 millennia. And so, as we trace the spiral from edge to center in our imagination, the Phaistos disk reminds us that history is filled with mysteries that defy resolution. Each symbol, each careful impression, offers a window into a mind, a society, and an era that we can glimpse but never fully inhabit. What knowledge, what story, and what purpose lies within those 74 symbols? The disk does not answer. It invites. And in that invitation, it ensures that the mystery endures, compelling us to wonder what else might be hidden in the shadowy depths of human history waiting to be discovered. From the spiraling mystery of the Phaistos disk, where symbols carved in clay defy translation across millennia, our journey now takes us to the sun-baked sands of Egypt's Fayum region, to a site whose very name evokes intrigue and awe, the Labyrinth of Hawara. Unlike the small, portable enigma of the disk, the labyrinth is vast and immobile, a monumental creation of stone and ingenuity, described by ancient historians as one of the most extraordinary architectural feats of the ancient world. It is said to rival even the pyramids in its complexity and scale, yet centuries of time and excavation have left only fragments, raising questions that remain unanswered. The labyrinth was commissioned by Pharaoh Amenemhat III of the 12th dynasty around 1800 BC as a monumental center adjacent to his pyramid at Hawara. Historical accounts, most famously from Herodotus, speak of a sprawling complex. Over 3,000 rooms, subterranean passageways, chambers adorned with statues, reliefs, and inscriptions, all interconnected in a vast network of corridors and halls. According to these descriptions, some corridors were so intricate that they could confound intruders, a deliberate design to protect sacred spaces and perhaps even hide secrets from the eyes of the uninitiated. Modern archaeologists have partially verified these accounts, uncovering traces of the labyrinth, but much remains buried, leaving scholars to reconcile legend, observation, and imagination. The purpose of the labyrinth appears both practical and symbolic. As with other monumental Egyptian structures, it served as a tomb complex for Amenemhat III, but it also seems to have functioned as a center for ritual, administration, and possibly even governance. Some scholars speculate that the labyrinth was intended as a necropolis city, a space where the living and the dead intersected, blending the practical needs of funerary architecture with the spiritual imperatives of Egyptian belief. In this sense, the labyrinth becomes more than a building. It is a statement of power, a fusion of architecture and cosmology, a reflection of an ancient worldview in which the afterlife, kingship, and divine order intertwine. Yet the labyrinth's enduring mystery lies not only in its intended function, but in the scale and ingenuity of its construction. Ancient texts suggest that walls were adorned with thousands of statues, hundreds of stone tablets, and elaborate reliefs, each requiring enormous labor, organization, and artistic mastery. How did architects and builders plan such a complex structure in an era without modern surveying tools or engineering software? Could the design have been guided by practical experience, intuition, and careful observation alone? Or was there an underlying system, now lost, that allowed for such precision in layout, structure, and decoration? The subterranean passages, partially excavated, are particularly intriguing. Archaeologists have found evidence of corridors carved directly into bedrock, some narrow, others expansive, and in places descending deep below the surface. The labyrinth's hidden chambers may have housed statues, treasures, and inscriptions, yet much of it has been obscured by centuries of flooding, erosion, and human interference. Could entire sections remain undiscovered beneath the sands and soil of Hawara, preserving relics, documents, or even knowledge that has vanished from the historical record? The very possibility invites speculation, suggesting that the labyrinth's secrets may outlive our ability to fully comprehend them. The labyrinth of Hawara also challenges our understanding of human ambition and memory. Herodotus described corridors that were so complex that unauthorized visitors risked getting lost forever, highlighting a deliberate tension between accessibility and concealment. Was this intended solely as a protective measure, or did it serve symbolic purposes as well, representing the journey through life, death, and the afterlife? In Egyptian thought, mazes and complex passageways often mirrored spiritual or cosmic journeys, a metaphorical reflection of the soul navigating the unseen realms beyond mortality. Could the labyrinth have been designed not only to awe and protect, but to encode spiritual truths in its very walls, accessible only to those initiated into its mysteries? The disappearance of so much of the structure adds to the enigma. By the time later civilizations recorded its existence, portions of the labyrinth had already begun to crumble or become buried. Roman and Greek travelers described halls adorned with statues and inscriptions, yet modern excavations have revealed only fragments, raising questions about the accuracy of ancient accounts, the scale of preservation, and what may have been lost entirely. Was the labyrinth ever fully realized as described, or did its fame grow over centuries through legend and embellishment? And if entire sections remain hidden, what might they reveal about Amenemhat III, Egyptian society, or the architect's knowledge of space, construction, and symbolism? Some fringe theories extend even further. Enthusiasts have suggested that the labyrinth may have incorporated advanced engineering techniques, secret chambers, or even mechanical devices designed to protect the tomb and its treasures. Others propose that it encoded astronomical or calendrical information, a monumental observatory in stone, carefully aligned to the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. While these ideas remain speculative, they underscore the enduring fascination the labyrinth inspires. A monument not merely to a pharaoh, but to the ambition, skill, and mystery of human civilization. Walking through the partially excavated remains of the labyrinth, one is struck by the duality of the site. It is both monumental and intimate, terrifying in its scale yet human in its detail. Each carved stone, each surviving corridor, speaks of labor, planning, and intention. Yet for all the work and ingenuity, the labyrinth remains incomplete in our understanding, a monument as much to human curiosity as to human achievement. How many chambers lie undiscovered? What messages, inscriptions, or artifacts have been lost beneath millennia of sand and rubble? And what can the labyrinth tell us about the Egyptians' conception of life, death, and the divine that we have yet to uncover? The labyrinth of Hawara continues to captivate both scholars and enthusiasts alike. It reminds us that some achievements are so ambitious that they challenge our ability to fully comprehend them. Its scale, intricacy, and partially lost history make it more than a tomb or architectural project. It is a living mystery, an echo of a civilization that valued both permanence and the enigma, the visible and the hidden. It is a testament to the human desire to leave something behind, to create structures that endure in both form and meaning, even as their full significance escapes us. And so, as we imagine wandering its buried corridors, tracing the stone paths once trodden by priests and workers, we are left with an enduring question. What secrets lie still hidden beneath the sands of Hawara, waiting silently for discovery? Could the labyrinth hold lost knowledge of architecture, engineering, or ritual practice? Or does its greatest mystery lie in the very fact that so much of it has vanished from the historical record? The underground labyrinth of Hawara reminds us that some mysteries are designed to endure, compelling us to explore, to wonder, and to confront the limits of what we know about the past. From the vast corridors of the Hawara labyrinth, where stone and shadow conceal the ambitions of a long-vanished civilization, our journey now carries us across oceans to the humid lowlands of Mesoamerica, to the ancient heartlands of the Olmec civilization. Here, amidst the swamps and rivers of present-day Veracruz and Tabasco in Mexico, rise monumental sculptures unlike anything else in the ancient Americas, the Olmec colossal heads. These towering figures, carved from single blocks of basalt, continue to astonish scholars and enthusiasts alike, not merely for their scale, but for the mysteries that surround their origin, purpose, and the civilization that created them. The heads vary in size, some reaching nearly 3 meters in height and weighing several tons. Each portrays a human face with distinct features: broad noses, full lips, high cheekbones, and often wearing elaborate headgear that resembles helmets. While many scholars interpret these features as representations of rulers or elite individuals, their lifelike detail and individual variation suggest not only skill but intention, an effort to immortalize specific personalities or convey symbolic meaning. Carved between 1500 BC and 400 BC, these heads testify to a civilization capable of extraordinary artistic achievement, yet much about their creation and transport remains unexplained. The source of the basalt adds another layer to the enigma. Most of the heads were quarried from the Tuxtla Mountains, some 50 to 60 kilometers from their final resting places. For a civilization without wheeled vehicles, draft animals, or advanced lifting machinery, the task of moving multi-ton stones over such distances is staggering. Did the Olmecs use log rollers, rafts along rivers, or other techniques now lost to history? Each theory has merit but also leaves gaps, highlighting the ingenuity required and the mystery that persists regarding the exact methods employed. The placement of the colossal heads is equally compelling. Many are situated near ceremonial centers, plazas, and mounds, suggesting a political or ritual significance. They may have been intended to convey authority, to mark sacred spaces, or to intimidate rivals and visitors alike. Some researchers propose that the heads were aligned with specific celestial events or geographic features, hinting at an advanced understanding of astronomy and landscape management. Yet, despite these tantalizing possibilities, no written records exist to explain the Olmec's intentions, leaving the heads as silent witnesses to a culture whose voice we cannot fully hear. The craftsmanship of the heads is remarkable. The sculptors achieved lifelike precision despite working with extremely hard basalt using tools likely made of stone, wood, and obsidian. Facial features are individualized, implying observation of actual people rather than generic archetypes, and some heads exhibit subtle asymmetries that reinforce their realism. How did the Olmecs achieve this level of precision without standardized measurements or advanced modeling techniques? Were these techniques learned through trial and error over generations, or was there a codified knowledge of sculptural engineering passed down in ways we cannot trace? Speculation naturally arises. Some theorists suggest the heads may encode more than individual likenesses. Could they convey political alliances, genealogies, or spiritual symbolism? The helmet-like headdresses have prompted further questions. Do they represent ritual attire, symbols of rank, or protective gear used in athletic or military contexts? Could there be a lost iconography or language embedded in these carvings that we have yet to decipher? The sheer combination of scale, detail, and effort hints at knowledge and intention that reaches beyond what is immediately visible. The mystery deepens when considering the Olmec civilization itself. Often regarded as the mother culture of Mesoamerica, the Olmecs laid foundations for later civilizations such as the Maya and Aztec, yet much about them remains opaque. How did they organize the labor required for quarrying, transporting, and carving these massive stones? What social structures and leadership mechanisms supported such monumental endeavors? And perhaps most intriguingly, what drove them to invest such enormous effort into creating lifelike sculptures while leaving so few written records or explanations for posterity? Some alternative interpretations push boundaries further. A few enthusiasts have speculated that the heads reflect influences from distant cultures or lost knowledge of engineering and artistic techniques. Others suggest symbolic or even esoteric meanings, proposing that the Olmecs encoded spiritual or cosmological principles into the head's proportions and placement. While these ideas are speculative, they underscore the enduring fascination the heads inspire, challenging us to reconsider what we know about the technological and intellectual capacities of ancient peoples. Even the distribution of the heads invites inquiry. Most are concentrated at major ceremonial centers such as San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zapotes. Yet others appear more isolated, prompting questions about regional networks, political influence, and communication. Were these heads part of a broader strategy to establish territorial control, or did they serve more symbolic and ceremonial purposes, marking sacred landscapes and reinforcing collective memory? The absence of direct evidence leaves these questions open, highlighting the enigmatic nature of Olmec civilization. The colossal heads also force reflection on the passage of time and the endurance of human ambition. Despite centuries of erosion, flooding, and human activity, many of the heads survive as imposing reminders of a civilization whose full story has not reached us. They convey a sense of presence and personality that transcends the limitations of language, offering a direct, tactile connection to people who lived over 3 millennia ago. In their silent gaze, we sense both authority and mystery, a window into human creativity, social organization, and the desire to communicate across time. And yet, for all we know, much remains hidden. Could there be more colossal heads lying buried beneath the earth, awaiting discovery? Are there subtler messages encoded in their features, arrangement, or alignment that we have yet to perceive? What might these statues tell us about the Olmec's worldview, religious beliefs, or political systems? Each unanswered question reinforces the sense of awe these sculptures inspire, reminding us that some achievements are designed to endure, yet some knowledge is always at the edge of human comprehension. As we gaze upon the Olmec heads today, we are confronted with the paradox of human ambition. Monumental effort invested in creating lifelike representations, yet leaving us with only mystery. They challenge our assumptions about technology, artistry, and culture in ancient Mesoamerica, encouraging us to wonder not only how they were made, but why. and what deeper truths they may contain. In their silent, immovable presence, the colossal heads remind us that history is rarely complete, that civilizations can vanish without leaving explanatory texts, and that sometimes the most profound legacies are those that continue to provoke questions long after their creators have disappeared. The Olmec colossal heads endure as guardians of a lost world. They ask us to reflect on ingenuity, patience, and the human desire to create something that transcends mortality. And perhaps most importantly, they invite us to wonder what else may be hidden in plain sight, what knowledge or artistry lies buried beneath soil, sediment, and time, waiting for discovery. In their quiet majesty, the heads speak across millennia, preserving a mystery that remains and reminding us that some questions are meant not to be answered, but to inspire curiosity and awe for generations to come. From the monumental presence of the Olmec colossal heads, whose silent gaze across the centuries hints at power, artistry, and lost knowledge, we now journey further south into the dense tropical forests and rolling hills of Costa Rica. Here, scattered across plains and river valleys, lie objects of an entirely different scale but no less enigmatic: the stone spheres of the Diki Delta. These perfectly rounded stones, ranging from a few centimeters to over 2 meters in diameter, have confounded archaeologists, historians, and travelers alike, their origin, purpose, and method of creation remaining shrouded in mystery. The spheres were first documented in modern times during the early 20th century, though their presence was long known to indigenous communities. Made primarily of granodiorite, a very hard volcanic rock, many of the spheres exhibit a level of precision that seems almost impossible without advanced tools. Their surfaces are unusually smooth, and their forms nearly perfect. Spheres that roll but rarely wobble, symmetrical to a degree that suggests careful calculation and laborious effort. How were these ancient artisans able to achieve such geometrical perfection using rudimentary stone and wood tools? The question has haunted researchers for decades. The sheer scale of the spheres adds to their mystique. While many are small, fitting easily in the palm of a hand, others are immense, some estimated to weigh over 15 tons. Transporting such massive stones from their sources, likely quarries several kilometers away, without wheels or draft animals, would have required remarkable ingenuity. Did the creators use log rollers, rafts along rivers, or teams of human labor coordinated with extraordinary skill? Or were their methods now lost to history, knowledge of leverage, friction reduction, or communal organization that allowed these ancient people to manipulate stones of such size with relative precision? Their placement is equally compelling. The spheres are not randomly scattered. They are often found in clusters or aligned along terraces, plazas, and pathways, suggesting deliberate spatial planning. Some researchers believe the arrangements indicate astronomical alignments, social or political boundaries, or ceremonial functions. Others speculate that the spheres marked territorial control, denoting regions ruled by different groups or signaling the presence of elite communities. Could they have served as symbols of authority, markers of sacred space, or even as elements of a lost calendar or cosmological system? Despite decades of study, the exact purpose remains speculative, leaving room for wonder and imagination. Archaeologists have found spheres of varying sizes grouped together, with smaller stones often surrounding larger ones, hinting at a hierarchy or pattern of significance. The precision in placement suggests careful planning and cultural intention rather than mere decoration. Could the spheres have been part of ceremonial centers where rituals, governance, or social gatherings occurred? Perhaps they were symbols of the cosmos, representing celestial bodies in miniature, mapping out the heavens upon the earth. Yet, without written records or oral histories from their creators, these interpretations remain conjectural, illuminating the gap between the physical evidence and the cultural meaning that has been lost to time. The craftsmanship of the spheres is equally striking. Some appear to have been shaped with chisels, while others show signs of pecking and polishing techniques that require both patience and understanding of the rock's properties. For stones of such hardness and size, even achieving approximate roundness would have been laborious. Yet many are nearly flawless. The uniformity in some spheres hints at a shared knowledge or methodology passed down through generations of artisans. Did these ancient people possess specialized training, communal coordination, or even a conceptual understanding of geometry that allowed them to manipulate natural materials with such care? Speculation extends further. Some theorists suggest that the spheres might encode information, serving as mnemonic devices, territorial markers, or even ceremonial tools. Others propose that they could represent social hierarchy, with the largest stones indicating power, prestige, or sacred significance. Some have even imagined astronomical or navigational functions, a prehistoric form of mapping the stars or marking important locations. While mainstream archaeology remains cautious, the sphere's enigmatic nature ensures that alternative explanations continue to captivate imaginations, highlighting the interplay between human ingenuity and the enduring mysteries of the past. The surrounding environment also adds to the intrigue. Many spheres were discovered in tropical forests or on former agricultural terraces, suggesting that the creators carefully selected their settings. Environmental factors, erosion, sedimentation, and human activity over centuries have shifted some spheres from their original positions, complicating efforts to reconstruct their arrangement and purpose. Could undiscovered spheres remain buried, perfectly preserved beneath layers of soil, waiting to reveal new insights about their creators? And what might these hidden stones tell us about the social, spiritual, or technological sophistication of the people who made them? The sphere's enduring allure lies not only in their physical perfection, but in their silent testimony to human ambition and curiosity. They are at once simple and profound, spheres of stone, yet carriers of mystery, inviting observers to wonder about the society that produced them, the methods employed, and the symbolic meanings that may have been intended. Unlike texts, the spheres do not speak with words, yet they convey presence, intention, and human effort across the centuries. As we contemplate the stone spheres of Costa Rica, we are faced with questions that echo the mysteries we have encountered in earlier segments of this journey. How did these people achieve such precision and organization without advanced tools? What knowledge, lost over centuries, enabled them to manipulate immense stones with care and artistry? And most intriguingly, what purpose did these spheres serve, and why was such monumental effort devoted to their creation? The answers, it seems, remain buried alongside the stones themselves. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not merely the sphere's origin or purpose, but the very fact that they survive as relics of human endeavor, preserving a story we cannot fully read. In their smooth, unyielding surfaces, we sense both creativity and intention, a bridge across time to a people whose sophistication exceeds what we might have imagined. They remind us that human history is not always recorded in texts or monuments alone, but sometimes in subtle, enduring forms that challenge understanding and invite curiosity. The strange stone spheres of Costa Rica endure as both achievement and enigma. They speak of a culture capable of extraordinary craftsmanship, planning, and perhaps ritualistic or social sophistication. And yet, their ultimate purpose remains unknown, a silent riddle left to the imagination of those who encounter them. What secrets might these spheres still conceal, and what can they tell us about the lives, beliefs, and ingenuity of their creators? In the end, the spheres compel us to reflect not only on the accomplishments of the past, but on the enduring mystery of human creativity itself. From the rounded precision of the Costa Rican stone spheres, silent witnesses to an ancient society's craftsmanship and possible ritual significance, Our journey now carries us across the Atlantic to the windswept coasts of Brittany in northwestern France. Here stretches one of the most enigmatic landscapes of prehistory, the Carnac megaliths, a sprawling expanse of thousands of stones, aligned in seemingly endless rows, their purpose shrouded in the mists of millennia. The scale alone is staggering. Estimates suggest over 3,000 standing stones, some towering more than 4 meters, arranged in precise, linear formations across the fertile plains of the Morbihan region. Discovered and documented during the 18th and 19th centuries, the Carnac stones have inspired awe and speculation ever since. They date back to the Neolithic period, roughly between 4,500 BC and 3,300 BC, making them older than the Egyptian pyramids. Each stone, quarried locally yet moved with considerable effort, was placed with apparent intention. Lines extend for several kilometers, some consisting of hundreds of individual stones. The precision and regularity of the alignments suggest planning on a scale that challenges conventional assumptions about Neolithic societies, raising immediate questions. How did these early communities organize labor and resources? And for what purpose were these stones meticulously arranged? Scholars have proposed numerous interpretations, each attempting to reconcile the megalith's scale, placement, and orientation with practical, social, or spiritual needs. One prevailing theory is that the stones served as astronomical markers, encoding the cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. Could the rows have functioned as a prehistoric observatory, tracking solstices, equinoxes, or other celestial phenomena critical to agricultural planning? If so, the builders demonstrated not only organizational skill, but also sophisticated observational knowledge, aligning immense stones with events that would occur years or decades after their placement. Yet, while astronomical correlations exist, no consensus confirms that this was their primary purpose, leaving room for alternate explanations. Other researchers suggest ritual or ceremonial functions. Some rows point toward ancient burial mounds, dolmens, and tumuli, implying connections to death, ancestor veneration, or spiritual practice. Could the alignments have guided processions, marked sacred pathways, or delineated zones for ritual activity? Might they have served as a physical manifestation of cosmology, mapping the spiritual landscape as much as the physical terrain? Evidence of associated artifacts, such as pottery or tools, is sparse, offering tantalizing hints but little conclusive insight. The construction itself is an enduring mystery. Many stones weigh several tons, yet were moved and erected using Neolithic tools and techniques. Logs, ropes, wooden sledges, and sheer human coordination may have sufficed, but the task would have required extraordinary planning and social organization. Who directed the construction, and how was labor mobilized across generations? And why invest such monumental effort into structures whose meaning is lost to us today? The scale and precision of the work suggest a culture with significant social cohesion and purpose, yet the specific motivations behind these colossal arrangements remain speculative. Some interpretations verge on the more speculative or symbolic. A few theorists have proposed that the stones encode language or messages, a prehistoric system of symbolic communication or record-keeping. Others suggest they represent territorial claims or social hierarchies, marking the boundaries of settlements or the influence of emerging elite groups. Even the directionality of the alignments, lines oriented along specific axes, sometimes converging or diverging, has sparked debates about whether the arrangements reflect a functional, symbolic, or spiritual logic. Perhaps the rows combine multiple purposes, blending observation, ritual, and social order in ways we can only begin to imagine. The local landscape adds further layers of intrigue. Rivers, hills, and natural features may have influenced placement, yet the sheer number and precision of stones suggest an intent beyond mere practicality. In some areas, smaller stones accompany larger ones, forming patterns or clusters whose meaning is obscure. Could these variations reflect different generations of builders, distinct functions, or symbolic hierarchies encoded into the terrain itself? And if entire sections of the Carnac alignments remain buried beneath soil or forest growth, how much of their original scale and intention remains hidden, awaiting discovery? The megalith's endurance through time is remarkable. Unlike many wooden or clay structures of the Neolithic period, these stones withstand centuries of weather, human activity, and natural erosion. They preserve a direct, tactile connection to the people who placed them, offering a silent, physical testament to ambition, planning, and artistic vision. Standing among them, one is struck by the duality of presence and mystery. These stones assert themselves as monumental markers, yet their precise purpose, their creator's intentions, and the cultural meaning behind their alignments remain elusive. The Carnac megaliths, much like the Costa Rican spheres or the Olmec colossal heads, remind us that human achievement often transcends what survives in written records. They challenge assumptions about the technological and organizational abilities of prehistoric societies, suggesting sophistication in planning, social coordination, and symbolic thought. They also confront us with questions that may never be fully answered. Why were these stones erected with such care and in such number? How did the builders envision their purpose, and what cultural or spiritual significance did they hold? Speculative theories abound, reflecting the fascination these stones continue to inspire. Some suggest esoteric or ritualistic meanings tied to cosmology or spiritual journeys. Others propose practical applications, from agricultural planning to calendrical systems. Could the rows themselves have acted as guides, aligning human activity with celestial cycles or ritual timings? Or were they intended as monumental statements, communicating power, identity, or collective belief across generations? The lack of written explanation leaves these possibilities open, ensuring that the megaliths maintain their aura of mystery. As we contemplate the vast expanse of Carnac, stretching across fields and valleys, we are reminded that history is not always linear, nor knowledge always complete. Some achievements endure as monuments to human ambition and creativity, even when the reasons behind them are lost to time. The Carnac megaliths continue to provoke questions about the nature of prehistoric society, the organization of labor and resources, and the symbolic or spiritual imagination of a culture that existed thousands of years before recorded history. And so, the mystery of the Carnac megaliths persists. What knowledge or belief motivated their creation? How were they constructed, aligned, and maintained across generations? What lies beneath the soil, undiscovered, that might reveal new insights about these enigmatic structures? The stones remain silent, yet their presence invites reflection, curiosity, and wonder. In their enduring alignment, we encounter both human ingenuity and the profound enigma of the past, a reminder that some mysteries are meant not only to endure, but to inspire awe across millennia. From the expansive fields of Carnac, where rows of stone reach across the landscape in silent testimony to Neolithic ambition and enigmatic purpose, we now return to the sands of Egypt, to a monument that has captivated human imagination for millennia, the Great Sphinx of Giza. Looming near the pyramids, its leonine body and human visage rise from the desert, a sentinel carved from limestone some 4,500 years ago. Yet beneath its weathered surface lies a mystery that has confounded scholars, archaeologists, and explorers alike: the possibility of hidden chambers within its massive body. The Sphinx itself is awe-inspiring in scale, approximately 73 meters long and 20 meters high, carved directly from the Giza Plateau's bedrock. While much has been studied and documented, speculation persists about spaces concealed inside, inaccessible and unobserved. Early accounts of the Sphinx describe it as a symbol of royal power and divine protection, aligned to guard the pyramid complex. Yet the monument's true depth, both literally and figuratively, may extend far beyond what the eye can perceive. Could there be cavities, tunnels, or chambers yet undiscovered, holding relics, inscriptions, or knowledge of the past? Historical records offer tantalizing hints. Ancient texts and maps occasionally reference passages, subterranean halls, or chambers associated with the Sphinx or its surrounding plateau. Some hieroglyphs and classical sources speak of hidden repositories or sacred spaces connected to the pharaohs, yet archaeological evidence remains partial and inconclusive. In the early 20th century, explorers like Emil Barres and Selim Hassan undertook excavations, uncovering the Sphinx's foundations and the surrounding temple structures, but their work revealed nothing definitive about internal chambers. More recent geophysical surveys, using ground-penetrating radar, muon tomography, and other advanced techniques, have suggested anomalies within and beneath the Sphinx, but interpretations differ, and no direct entry to these potential spaces has been confirmed. The geological structure of the Sphinx adds to the intrigue. Carved from layers of limestone, some soft, some harder, the body exhibits natural fissures, erosion, and voids, complicating the distinction between natural formations and potential man-made chambers. Could the ancient Egyptians have hollowed parts of the Sphinx intentionally, and if so, for what purpose? Were these intended as storage spaces, ritual chambers, or symbolic representations of hidden knowledge? The answers remain elusive, as the Sphinx continues to guard its secrets beneath millennia of sand, wind, and human curiosity. Speculation about these hidden chambers has inspired both mainstream hypotheses and fringe theories. Some researchers propose that subterranean spaces might have been designed to house sacred artifacts, royal records, or even mummified remains, echoing the function of other Egyptian tombs and temples. Others suggest symbolic or esoteric purposes. The chambers could represent a journey into the underworld, a physical manifestation of spiritual concepts tied to the pharaoh's eternal life, or a concealed path for priests to perform rituals away from public view. While archaeological evidence remains limited, the very possibility of such hidden spaces fuels curiosity and investigation. Technological advancements have renewed interest in the Sphinx's hidden spaces. Non-invasive techniques, such as muon imaging, have been used to detect density variations within the monument, hinting at cavities not accounted for in the known structure. Some anomalies appear in the chest or paws, leading to speculation that chambers may exist deep within. Could these areas contain artifacts that provide insight into the Old Kingdom, the construction of the Giza Plateau, or even aspects of ancient Egyptian knowledge that have otherwise been lost? Or are they natural voids, products of erosion and limestone dissolution, misinterpreted as hidden chambers by modern science? The Sphinx's symbolic and cultural significance magnifies the mystery. As a guardian figure, combining human intellect with animal strength, it represents a threshold between the visible and the hidden, the known and the unknowable. Any chambers within would reinforce this duality, serving as literal and metaphorical spaces where the sacred and the secret intersect. Could the ancient builders have intended that only the initiated, or perhaps only the pharaohs themselves, ever access these spaces? And if so, what messages or artifacts might lie concealed, waiting for discovery? Beyond speculation, the Sphinx raises broader questions about human ambition and memory. Constructing such a massive figure required coordination, knowledge of stonework, and social organization. To consider that its builders might also have designed internal chambers adds yet another layer to our understanding of their capabilities and intentions. What drove these ancient people to invest extraordinary labor and ingenuity into both monumental external appearance and potential hidden interior spaces? Could the chambers, if they exist, reveal methods, tools or planning strategies otherwise unknown to modern archaeology. Some theories extend even further into the realm of symbolism and spirituality. Esoteric interpretations suggest that the Sphinx's hidden chambers could encode knowledge of cosmology, mathematics, or ritual practice, aligning physical structure with sacred or cosmic principles. Others propose that these spaces functioned as repositories of sacred texts or objects, preserving knowledge for future generations. While these ideas remain speculative, they underscore the enduring fascination the Sphinx inspires. A monument not only of stone, but of imagination, mystery, and the human desire to preserve meaning across time. The very act of considering hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx forces reflection on the limits of knowledge. Archaeology provides partial answers, foundations, temple structures, and detailed studies of erosion. But even with modern technology, the possibility of undiscovered spaces continues to intrigue. Could entire corridors or chambers lie concealed beneath the monument, untouched for millennia, preserving relics, inscriptions, or other evidence of ancient Egyptian life? What insights might they offer about ritual practice, architectural knowledge, or the spiritual beliefs of the Old Kingdom? Standing before the Sphinx today, one cannot help but sense a paradox. A figure carved from solid rock, enduring for thousands of years, yet potentially hiding secrets beyond comprehension. Its gaze seems to invite inquiry, daring us to explore while maintaining its silence. The hidden chambers, if they exist, represent both a tangible and metaphorical unknown, a reminder that even in the presence of extraordinary monuments, the past may retain its secrets, resisting full explanation. And so, the mystery beneath the Sphinx endures. Whether natural voids, ceremonial spaces, or repositories of lost knowledge, these hidden chambers, or the possibility of them, call upon us to reflect on the ingenuity, ambition, and spiritual depth of ancient Egyptian civilization. What might lie concealed in the heart of this ancient sentinel, waiting for discovery? And as we continue to explore the Sphinx, are we not also exploring the limits of our understanding, challenged by a monument that guards both history and mystery with equal measure? From the hidden depths beneath the Sphinx, where limestone and shadow may conceal secrets of ancient Egyptian ingenuity, our journey now shifts across the Mediterranean to the sunlit waters off the coast of a small Greek island. In 1901, divers exploring the Antikythera shipwreck near the island of Antikythera made a discovery that would baffle historians, engineers, and scientists for over a century. A corroded bronze artifact of extraordinary complexity, later named the Antikythera mechanism. This seemingly unremarkable lump of encrusted metal would turn out to be a marvel of ancient technology, a precision instrument whose sophistication challenges our understanding of what was possible in the ancient world. At first glance, the mechanism is deceptive. Covered in centuries of corrosion and marine growth, it resembles a rough, corroded relic, an artifact among many recovered from the wreck. Yet careful cleaning and study revealed a labyrinth of interlocking bronze gears, dials, and inscriptions, dozens of finely crafted components, arranged to form a mechanical device unparalleled in antiquity. The sheer complexity astonished researchers. A clockwork instrument capable of predicting astronomical events, eclipses, and perhaps even cycles of the Olympic Games. Could such technological sophistication have existed in the 1st century BC, at a time when most assume mechanical engineering was relatively rudimentary? The mechanism's purpose continues to provoke fascination. Through meticulous reconstruction, researchers have demonstrated that the device could calculate the positions of the sun, moon, and possibly the planets, track the metonic cycle of 19 years, and anticipate solar and lunar eclipses with remarkable accuracy. Some even speculate that it could encode the Kallippic, Saros, and Exeligmos cycles, astronomical intervals far beyond the understanding of most civilizations of its time. How could ancient engineers design, fabricate, and calibrate such an instrument without modern mathematics, machining, or precision tools? The Antikythera mechanism seems almost anachronistic, a puzzle of genius that defies expectations of ancient capability. Its discovery in a shipwreck also raises intriguing questions. The vessel, thought to have been lost between 70 and 60 BC, carried the mechanism across the sea, possibly from a workshop in Rhodes, Pergamon, or elsewhere in the Hellenistic world. Why transport such an intricate device by ship? Was it a scientific instrument, a teaching tool, or even a prized object of commerce or curiosity? The idea that a device of such complexity existed in widespread use seems unlikely, yet its very presence suggests that knowledge of advanced mechanical engineering was circulating at the time, perhaps in limited elite circles. The craftsmanship of the mechanism is extraordinary. The gears, cut with precision, exhibit uniform teeth and interlocking movement, comparable to late medieval astronomical clocks created over a millennium later. Inscriptions on the bronze surface provide instructions and explanations for its operation, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of both astronomy and mechanics. Yet much of the device remains a mystery. Parts are missing, fragments are lost to time, and some gears' functions are still debated. Did the original designers intend it to serve as a practical tool, an educational instrument, or even a symbolic representation of cosmic order? Speculation has expanded to consider its broader cultural and technological implications. Could the Antikythera mechanism indicate that ancient Greek engineers had access to knowledge far more advanced than previously recognized? Might other devices have existed, now lost to history, capable of similar or even greater precision? Some theorists propose that Hellenistic scientists were experimenting with miniaturized mechanical systems, suggesting a sophistication that the historical record only partially preserves. If so, what does this imply about the trajectory of technological development, the transmission of knowledge, and the losses that accompany time and circumstance? The mechanism also provokes questions about the interplay between observation and theory in the ancient world. Its function presupposes not only mechanical ingenuity, but precise astronomical observation, a detailed understanding of lunar and solar cycles, and the ability to translate abstract celestial phenomena into a tangible, working model. How did ancient engineers measure the moon's complex motion, account for its irregularities, and encode that understanding into interlocking gears? The Antikythera mechanism suggests that some ancient thinkers approached the universe with a level of abstraction and technical skill that seems almost modern in sophistication. Modern technology has allowed unprecedented insight. X-ray imaging and 3D reconstruction have revealed internal gear structures, previously invisible, and computer models have simulated its astronomical predictions. Even so, mysteries remain: the exact original configuration of all components, potential additional features lost to corrosion, and the full range of its intended applications remain unknown. Could the mechanism have had functions beyond astronomy, perhaps tracking ritual calendars, civic events, or other phenomena? The possibilities are tantalizing, yet unknowable without further discovery. Culturally, the Antikythera mechanism challenges assumptions about ancient civilizations. It is more than a curiosity. It is evidence of a world in which intellectual ambition, mathematical insight, and mechanical skill converged in a single device. The mechanism forces us to reconsider linear narratives of technological progress, revealing that brilliance may have appeared, vanished, and been rediscovered across centuries. It also emphasizes the fragility of human knowledge. A single shipwreck preserved an artifact that might otherwise have been lost entirely. A reminder that our understanding of the past is shaped as much by accident as by preservation. As we reflect on the Antikythera mechanism, we are confronted by the profound intersection of history, science, and mystery. It stands as both achievement and enigma, a small, corroded object holding within it the secrets of astronomical understanding, mechanical innovation, and intellectual daring from a civilization long past. Its discovery invites us to imagine workshops filled with engineers, mathematicians, and thinkers, laboring to transform abstract celestial patterns into tangible reality, and to ponder what other inventions or knowledge may have been lost to the currents of time. Ultimately, the Antikythera mechanism remains a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring mysteries of history. How did its creators conceive of such a device, fabricate it with the tools of their age, and calibrate it with such precision? What other instruments or knowledge might have existed in Hellenistic societies now vanished without a trace? And as we continue to study and marvel at the mechanism today, we are reminded that some enigmas are meant not to be solved fully, but to inspire awe, curiosity, and the recognition that the human mind has always reached beyond what seems possible. In the end, the Antikythera mechanism endures as a bridge across time, a relic of ingenuity, a challenge to our assumptions, and a reminder that even in antiquity, human beings were capable of marvels that continue to astonish, provoke wonder, and hint at mysteries yet undiscovered beneath the seas, within workshops and in the annals of history. From the precise astronomical genius of the Antikythera mechanism, whose interlocking gears echo knowledge seemingly far ahead of its time, our journey now carries us across continents and cultures, from the Mediterranean to the remote mountains of China. Nestled near the serene waters of the mysterious Kunlun Mountains lies another puzzle of human, or perhaps natural, origin, the Baigong pipes. These formations, both perplexing and compelling, have defied straightforward explanation, capturing the curiosity of scientists, explorers, and enthusiasts alike. The Baigong pipes are located near Mount Baigong, overlooking the saline waters of Lake Tosan in Qinghai Province. Upon first sight, they resemble metallic tubes embedded in rock formations and scattered across the surrounding terrain. Some protrude from the ground, others descend into the lake itself. Measurements reveal remarkable consistency. Many of the pipes are roughly cylindrical, with diameters ranging from a few centimeters to over 20 centimeters, and lengths sometimes extending several meters. The shapes are strikingly regular, raising immediate questions. Are these natural formations, or the remnants of deliberate construction? Initial scientific investigation offers conflicting perspectives. Geological studies suggest the presence of iron oxide and silica, along with traces of what appears to be rust, leading some researchers to speculate that the pipes may be man-made, forged from metal and later mineralized over time. Others argue that natural processes, volcanic activity, sediment deposition, or mineral concretions, could produce similar tubular structures, though few geologists can explain the scale and consistency of the larger pipes. How could natural forces generate such uniform shapes, seamlessly embedded in rock and sediment? The debate continues, as the Baigong pipes occupy the space between the plausible and the perplexing. Adding to the mystery is the environment in which they appear. Some pipes seem to lead directly into caves or tunnels within the mountain, hinting at a subterranean network. Could these conduits have once served a functional purpose, channeling water, gas, or other substances? Some speculate that the pipes formed part of an ancient hydraulic system, designed to extract or transport resources from beneath the earth. Yet no written records, inscriptions, or artifacts have been found to corroborate such theories. The absence of context amplifies the enigma. Here is a network of tubular formations, seemingly designed for use, yet devoid of any overt evidence of civilization. Chemical analysis of samples from the pipes has provided tantalizing yet ambiguous results. Certain tests indicate high levels of iron and silicon compounds, consistent with both man-made metallurgy and natural mineral deposition. Radiometric dating of surrounding sediments suggests some of the formations may be tens of thousands of years old, though exact dates remain disputed. If human fabrication is assumed, this would place the Baigong pipes far beyond the technological capabilities of known prehistoric civilizations in the region. Could an unknown culture, lost to history, have developed metalworking techniques in isolation long before recorded technology reached these mountains? Or do these structures reflect a natural phenomenon that merely imitates the regularity and function of human engineering? Theories extend even further into the realm of speculation. Some researchers have suggested the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement, citing the pipe's unusual distribution and apparent alignment with cave networks. Others propose that the formations may have served ritualistic or symbolic purposes, part of a forgotten tradition of mountain worship or ceremonial infrastructure. While mainstream science remains cautious, the Baigong pipes continue to inspire imaginative hypotheses precisely because they straddle the border between natural formation and deliberate construction. The physical characteristics of the pipes deepen the intrigue. Many of the tubes are hollow, while others are solid, and several exhibit branching patterns reminiscent of modern plumbing or ventilation systems. Their orientation within rock strata suggests they were subjected to geological pressures over millennia, yet their cylindrical integrity remains remarkably intact. Could these factors indicate that the pipes were originally manufactured with extraordinary precision, only later modified by geological forces? Or are we observing an unusual interaction of mineral growth, erosion, and sedimentation that happens to mimic engineered design? Fieldwork in the Baigong area presents further challenges. The pipes are scattered across rugged terrain, partially submerged in saline waters, and often encrusted with mineral deposits that obscure their original form. Explorers attempting to map and measure the network find themselves confronted with both logistical and interpretive difficulties. How extensive is this network? Could additional hidden pipes remain submerged beneath the lake or buried in sediment, waiting to be discovered? And if so, what secrets might they reveal about the forces, natural, human, or otherwise, that shaped them? Cultural and historical context is largely absent, which only intensifies the mystery. There are no known settlements in the region dating to the supposed age of the pipes, no contemporaneous texts, and no artifacts to suggest a civilization capable of constructing such features. Yet, the meticulous arrangement, consistent shapes, and occasional branching patterns compel a reconsideration of what might have been possible. If ancient humans created them, who were they, and what motivated such effort in a remote, harsh environment? Could these pipes have been utilitarian, ceremonial, or symbolic, serving a purpose entirely lost to time? The Baigong pipes remind us of the broader enigma of ancient technological and geological anomalies. They compel reflection on the boundaries between nature and human ingenuity, the limits of our understanding, and the fragments of history that survive in unexpected forms. Like the Antikythera mechanism or the hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, these structures challenge assumptions about human achievement, chronological possibility, and the interplay between the observable and the unknowable. Standing near the lake and tracing the contours of the pipes, one is struck by a dual sensation: the immense antiquity of the formations and the seeming intentionality of their design. Whether shaped by natural processes, human hands, or a combination of both, the Baigong pipes serve as a testament to the mysteries that persist in the world, waiting to be interpreted, explored, and understood. They are monuments without inscriptions, echoes of intent without voices, and reminders that the past often leaves its traces in forms both tangible and confounding. As we ponder the Baigong pipes, we are left with questions as enduring as the formations themselves. Were they engineered by humans, and if so, what knowledge and skill were required to create them? Could natural geological processes account for such uniformity? Or is there a combination of forces at work beyond current understanding? And most intriguingly, what lies beneath the surface of the mountain and lake, concealed from our eyes, that might illuminate the origin and purpose of these mysterious tubes? In the end, the Baigong pipes endure as a puzzle of stone, metal, and mineral, a silent testament to the limits of our knowledge and the enduring allure of the unexplained. They invite us to explore, to question, and to marvel, not only at the physical forms themselves, but at the imagination, ambition, and mystery that continue to shape our understanding of the ancient world. From the remote mountains of China, where the Baigong pipes weave their enigmatic network beneath rock and lake, our journey now carries us across oceans and continents to the high plains of the Andes in South America. Here, at nearly 4,000 meters above sea level, lies the ancient city of Tiwanaku in Bolivia, a sprawling archaeological complex whose stone constructions have puzzled researchers for over a century. Amid its monumental temples, intricately carved stones, and vast ceremonial spaces, one of its most perplexing and often overlooked mysteries is the presence of strange stone cylinders scattered across the site and hidden within its foundations. The Tiwanaku civilization, which flourished between approximately 300 BC and 1000 AD, is renowned for its mastery of stonework, astronomy, and ceremonial architecture. Its most famous constructions, including the Akapana Pyramid and the Gateway of the Sun, demonstrate remarkable precision in stone cutting and alignment, suggesting both technical skill and cosmological awareness. Yet, amid these grand structures, the stone cylinders stand out as enigmatic features whose purpose has eluded definitive explanation. Often cylindrical in shape, sometimes hollow, and ranging from a few centimeters to over a meter in length, these stones are found embedded in walls, arranged in rows, or simply lying scattered across the surrounding plains. Their material and craftsmanship immediately draw attention. Made of andesite, a hard volcanic rock common in the Andes, the cylinders show signs of deliberate shaping, with smooth surfaces and consistent proportions. Some appear drilled or hollowed, suggesting they may have been designed to fit into larger architectural or mechanical systems. Could these features indicate a practical purpose, perhaps as rollers for moving massive stone blocks, as components of drainage or irrigation systems, or as instruments in ceremonial contexts? Or are they symbolic, encoded with cultural or spiritual significance now lost to time? The absence of inscriptions or contemporary documentation leaves their meaning shrouded in mystery. Excavations and studies have revealed that some cylinders are placed in ways that suggest alignment with astronomical events or seasonal cycles. At certain points within the Tiwanaku complex, rows of cylinders seem to follow a pattern corresponding to solstices or the rising and setting of significant celestial bodies. Could the cylinders have served as observational markers, guiding priests or astronomers in tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and planets? If so, the sophistication of such an arrangement highlights the Tiwanaku people's understanding of both geometry and celestial mechanics, linking the earthbound city with the rhythms of the sky. Theories about their function extend into realms of speculation. Some archaeologists propose that the cylinders were utilitarian, part of a lost technology for construction, perhaps used as primitive bearings or rollers to transport massive blocks across the plains. Others suggest they could have been water conduits, part of a hydraulic or drainage system that distributed water across the terraces and ceremonial spaces of Tiwanaku. Yet, no evidence conclusively confirms any single theory, and the hollow or solid nature of different cylinders adds complexity to interpretation. Could the Tiwanaku civilization have developed techniques lost to history, creating multifunctional objects whose purpose is now only partially understood? Intriguingly, some of the stone cylinders show signs of wear or internal striations that hint at rotational or repetitive use, as if they once moved within a mechanical system. Could these features indicate a lost technology, some kind of machinery or tool now entirely absent from the archaeological record? If the cylinders were indeed functional components, it suggests a level of engineering sophistication in Tiwanaku that rivals later civilizations, yet remains largely unrecognized due to the absence of textual records. In a sense, the cylinders embody a silent engineering language, one that we can glimpse but not fully decipher. The cultural context of Tiwanaku further deepens the mystery. This society exhibited a remarkable integration of architecture, cosmology, and ritual practice. Its ceremonial centers were carefully aligned with the surrounding landscape and the movements of celestial bodies. Could the stone cylinders, simple as they appear, have played a role in rituals, perhaps as instruments to produce sound, as symbolic representations of celestial or spiritual concepts, or even as markers for sacred paths? Anthropologists have noted that high-altitude civilizations often incorporated objects into their rituals in ways that are not immediately practical, yet deeply symbolic, intertwining the spiritual and the material. Comparisons with other ancient sites hint at a broader pattern. Across the globe, from the Baigong pipes in China to the stone spheres of Costa Rica, we find repeated evidence of cylindrical, tubular, or spherical objects whose purpose is ambiguous but suggestive of intentionality. Could these represent a universal human impulse to encode knowledge in durable geometric forms? Or do they reflect convergent solutions to practical challenges, with different societies independently discovering similar methods for construction, ritual, or observation? In the case of Tiwanaku, the cylinders occupy a space where practical utility, ceremonial function, and symbolic meaning intersect, making definitive conclusions elusive. Fieldwork at Tiwanaku presents challenges for researchers. The high-altitude environment, combined with centuries of exposure to wind, rain, and seismic activity, has altered many stone features, making precise analysis difficult. Yet even fragments of cylinders reveal extraordinary consistency in shape and proportion, hinting at deliberate planning and skilled craftsmanship. Could there be additional hidden cylinders buried beneath terraces or within the foundations of temples, waiting to be discovered? And if so, might they provide further insight into the methods, technologies, and worldview of the Tiwanaku civilization? The symbolic resonance of the cylinders cannot be overlooked. In a society deeply attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos, objects that are geometrically precise, deliberately arranged, or hidden within structures may have served as metaphors or instruments for understanding the world. Could the cylinders represent cycles of life, celestial mechanics, or spiritual concepts encoded in stone for future generations? Or are they purely functional, their symbolism secondary to practical necessity? The ambiguity itself seems intentional, inviting observers to contemplate both the visible and hidden layers of Tiwanaku's cultural landscape. Ultimately, the strange stone cylinders of Tiwanaku endure as silent witnesses to a lost civilization's ingenuity, imagination, and ritual practice. Their presence challenges assumptions about the technological, astronomical, and symbolic sophistication of high-altitude Andean cultures. They remind us that even in the absence of written records, objects can convey knowledge, provoke inquiry, and preserve the fingerprints of human ambition across centuries. As we stand on the plains of Tiwanaku, gazing at the scattered cylinders and monumental stone constructions, we are reminded of the enduring tension between what is known and what remains unexplained. Were these objects tools, ceremonial instruments, astronomical markers, or something entirely beyond our comprehension? What hidden logic, engineering, or cosmology might they encode, preserved in stone for the ages. And as we continue to explore the terraces, temples, and ceremonial spaces of this enigmatic city, we are invited to wonder what else lies hidden, waiting for discovery beneath the high-altitude sun and wind of the Andes, in a civilization that continues to captivate, puzzle, and inspire. From the high plains of Tiwanaku, where stone cylinders lie scattered as silent witnesses to a civilization's ingenuity, our journey now arcs across continents and centuries, arriving in the frigid expanse of the Ural Mountains in Russia. Here, in dense forests and remote valleys, a set of extraordinary objects has confounded scientists and collectors alike, the so-called nanospiral artifacts. These minuscule metallic spirals, often smaller than a centimeter, were unearthed from riverbeds and alluvial deposits in the southern Urals, their origin, age, and purpose shrouded in mystery. The first reports of the nanospiral artifacts emerged in the early 1990s, when metal prospectors stumbled upon tiny, coiled objects resembling miniature springs or intricate screws. Closer inspection revealed astonishing detail. Each spiral appeared to be crafted with precision far exceeding the capabilities of ordinary hand tools. Under magnification, some spirals show uniformity of curvature and consistent thickness along their entire length, as if produced with machines capable of extraordinary micrometer-level control. How could such objects exist in deposits dated to prehistoric layers? And what civilization, if any, could have manufactured them? The materials themselves are equally intriguing. Analysis indicates that the spirals are composed of an unusual metallic alloy, resistant to corrosion and deformation. Unlike typical natural formations, their uniformity and repetitive geometry strongly suggest deliberate manufacture. Some researchers have argued that the artifacts could be remnants of machinery, tools, or even instruments designed for highly specialized functions. Yet no corroborating evidence, no other mechanical components, no structures, no documentation has been found. The nanospiral artifacts appear as isolated anomalies, enigmatic fragments whose context is as mysterious as their form. Dating the artifacts presents challenges. Geological layers in which they were found suggest that they could be thousands, if not tens of thousands, of years old. If this is accurate, it predates known metallurgical technology capable of producing such precision. Could we be looking at remnants of a lost technological knowledge, perhaps belonging to a civilization long forgotten by history? Or is it possible that these deposits, through geological processes, somehow preserved naturally formed metallic spirals later mistaken for manufactured objects? The uncertainty is profound, straddling the border between archaeology, geology, and speculation. Laboratory investigations have revealed further peculiarities. Under scanning electron microscopes, the spirals exhibit structures resembling machining marks, consistent with rotation around a central axis during fabrication. Some even show evidence of torsional stress, suggesting they were compressed or wound in their original use. Could these tiny coils have functioned as components in complex mechanisms, perhaps for regulating motion, storing energy, or amplifying vibrations? And if so, what level of technological sophistication does this imply about the creators? We are confronted with the possibility that these seemingly innocuous artifacts may hold evidence of microengineering far advanced for their purported age. The Ural region itself offers few clues. Sparse human settlements in prehistory and the absence of contemporary civilizations in the immediate vicinity make it difficult to associate the spirals with any known culture. Could they have been brought here through migration, trade, or accident? Or might we be witnessing the remnants of a civilization entirely unknown to recorded history, whose achievements have left only the tiniest traces in the geological record? Some researchers speculate that these artifacts may have been components of tools, measuring devices, or even objects of ritual or symbolic importance though the evidence remains circumstantial. Alternative theories explore the possibility of non-human or even extraterrestrial involvement, though mainstream science remains cautious. The extraordinary precision of the spirals, combined with their anomalous appearance in ancient deposits, invites speculation about technologies beyond conventional understanding. Could the nanospirals represent a lost understanding of mechanics, energy, or material science? Or is the explanation simpler, grounded in as yet undiscovered natural processes capable of shaping metal into uniform, helical forms? The truth may lie somewhere between the plausible and the extraordinary, leaving room for wonder as much as skepticism. What makes the nanospiral artifacts particularly compelling is their scale. Unlike the monumental constructions of Tiwanaku or the Baigong pipes of China, these are objects of almost imperceptible size. Yet within these tiny coils, entire worlds of unanswered questions emerge. They challenge assumptions about technological evolution, demonstrating that complexity is not always monumental. It can exist in the microcosm, encoded in objects so small that they are easily overlooked, yet capable of upending conventional timelines of innovation. Field investigations into the Ural discoveries are ongoing, yet access is difficult. Remote terrain, seasonal weather extremes, and the delicate nature of the artifacts themselves make excavation and preservation a painstaking process. Many spirals were discovered in river gravels, suggesting that natural processes may have redistributed them over time. Could this movement explain their apparent isolation, or does it obscure a broader network of artifacts yet to be found? And if additional components exist, buried deep beneath sediments or hidden within rock formations, what might they reveal about their original context and use? The spiral's design also invites philosophical reflection. In nature, spirals are ubiquitous, from shells and galaxies to hurricanes and plant growth, but the nanospiral's precise geometric form is unlike any known natural spiral, especially in metallic material. Could these represent a human attempt to mimic natural patterns, or is the resemblance merely coincidental? And if human, what drove the creators to invest skill and effort into such intricate objects? Functionality, beauty, symbolism, or perhaps a combination of all three? Each possibility carries profound implications about the intellect and culture of their makers. The enigmatic quality of the nanospirals mirrors other ancient technological anomalies, from the Antikythera mechanism to the Tiwanaku stone cylinders. Across time and space, these objects hint at a recurring motif: civilizations or creators capable of extraordinary precision, yet leaving scant records, leaving us to interpret fragments and make inferences about knowledge that may have been lost. In the case of the nanospiral artifacts, the scale is microscopic, the evidence fragmentary, yet the questions are monumental. They remind us that history is not merely what is written in texts or etched in stone. It is also encoded in tiny, often overlooked objects that challenge assumptions and provoke curiosity. The implications extend beyond archaeology or engineering. If these artifacts were indeed manufactured, they compel reconsideration of timelines for technological achievement and human ingenuity. Could prehistory contain undiscovered chapters of engineering knowledge obscured by time, geology, and circumstance? And what forces, natural or human, allowed such tiny marvels to endure, preserved long enough to be discovered millennia later? The spiral's survival invites awe, and their precision inspires wonder as we confront the gap between known history and the tantalizing possibilities glimpsed in these miniature coils. Ultimately, the Ural nanospiral artifacts endure as both objects and enigmas. Their small size belies the enormous questions they pose, touching on the origins of technology, the limits of ancient knowledge, and the persistent mysteries embedded in the natural and human-altered world. They challenge us to think not only about the past we understand, but also about the vast expanse of what remains hidden, lost, or unrecognized. In a sense, these spirals are bridges, tiny, silent, and intricate bridges, linking us to ideas, skills, and civilizations that may have existed far earlier than we imagine, leaving traces just enough for our curiosity to awaken. The nanospirals endure, delicate yet defiant, a testament to the hidden depths of human, or possibly unknown, ingenuity. They challenge us, intrigue us, and leave us with the profound sense that, even in the age of satellites, microscopes, and advanced technology, the past still holds secrets capable of astonishing the present. What is their origin? Who made them, and for what purpose? And most compelling of all, what might still be hidden, buried in the soils of the Urals, silently waiting for discovery, to remind us that mystery is never truly lost, only waiting to be found. From the remote Urals, where the tiniest of artifacts, the nanospirals, challenge our understanding of ancient technology, our journey now carries us across continents to the highlands of Peru, to the enigmatic ceremonial center of Chavin de Huantar. Nestled within the Andean mountains, this sprawling complex rises from the river valleys like a silent sentinel of antiquity. Among its sun-drenched plazas, towering platforms, and intricately carved stone faces lies one of its most captivating and least understood features: a network of subterranean passages, tunnels, and galleries that whisper of rituals, secrets, and knowledge buried beneath the earth. Chavin de Huantar flourished between approximately 900 BC and 200 BC and served as the spiritual and political heart of the Chavin culture. Archaeologists have long been fascinated by its sophisticated architecture, monumental stone sculptures, and finely carved iconography depicting deities, animals, and abstract motifs. Yet, beneath the ceremonial plazas and platforms, the subterranean passages present a mystery that is as profound as it is elusive. These underground corridors, carved directly into the bedrock, snake beneath the site in patterns that are both deliberate and enigmatic, revealing a complex interplay between engineering, ritual, and acoustic design. At first glance, the tunnels appear utilitarian, narrow, winding, and constructed with precision. But closer inspection reveals subtle features that suggest purposes beyond mere passage. Stone channels line some of the corridors, and small openings or niches are positioned at precise intervals. Certain tunnels produce remarkable acoustic effects. A whisper at one end can travel and reverberate in unexpected ways, amplifying sound as if the very rock were designed to carry voices or chants. Could these spaces have functioned as ceremonial theaters, amplifying ritualistic sounds to enhance religious experience? Or were they conduits for water, controlling the flow of underground streams to irrigate terraces and manage the site's delicate hydrology? The evidence hints at both possibilities, yet definitive answers remain elusive. The subterranean network is constructed with remarkable attention to detail. Stone blocks fit together seamlessly, with channels carved to guide water precisely, and certain chambers appear aligned with celestial or solar events. Some researchers propose that these tunnels were used in initiation rites, allowing priests and initiates to traverse the earth in symbolic journeys, representing the transition from the mundane to the divine. Could these passages have been designed to induce altered states of consciousness using sound, light, and the geometry of space to connect human perception with the spiritual realm? The interplay of architecture, hydrology, and sensory experience at Chavin suggests an intentional blending of the practical and the mystical. Water plays a central role in the mystery. The site's network of canals and tunnels channels water from the surrounding rivers and springs through subterranean chambers, producing sounds of rushing and splashing that echo throughout the tunnels. These effects may have contributed to the religious power of the site, creating auditory phenomena that amplified the perception of spiritual presence. Could the underground acoustics have been deliberately engineered to simulate divine voices or animal sounds, reinforcing the authority of the priests and the sanctity of the ceremonies? The precision of water flow and the manipulation of sound indicate knowledge of hydraulics and acoustics that would astonish even modern engineers. The corridors themselves are irregular and labyrinthine, with multiple levels and branching passages. Some tunnels end abruptly, while others connect distant parts of the complex, suggesting a system designed to surprise, disorient, or guide those moving within it. Could this labyrinthine structure have had protective purposes, concealing sacred objects or secret chambers from intruders? Or was it intended to challenge initiates, testing their courage and spiritual readiness as they navigated the subterranean maze? The duality of purpose, practical and symbolic, recurs throughout Chavin architecture, suggesting that these tunnels were more than functional. They were instruments of cultural meaning encoded in stone. Archaeological exploration has uncovered carved stelae, offering glimpses of symbolism connected to the tunnels. Iconography depicting felines, serpents, and jaguars appears throughout, often in positions that correspond with tunnel entrances or chambers. Do these animal representations hold cosmological significance, guiding ritual activity, or encoding knowledge of natural cycles and spiritual beliefs? Could the underground passages themselves be a reflection of the Chavin cosmology, a physical manifestation of the interplay between the earthly realm and the underworld, between life and death, or between humans and the divine? Excavations and mapping of the subterranean system remain challenging. The high-altitude environment, combined with centuries of sediment deposition, seismic activity, and partial collapse, makes full exploration difficult. Many areas remain inaccessible or hidden beneath layers of debris, leaving open the possibility that additional chambers or corridors could provide further insights into the site's design and purpose. What discoveries might await in these hidden spaces? Artifacts, inscriptions, or architectural features that could shed light on the intended function of these tunnels? The incomplete nature of our knowledge only enhances the sense of mystery, reminding us that Chavin is a living puzzle in stone. The relationship between sound, water, and architecture in these passages is particularly striking. When water flows through specific channels, the resulting acoustic phenomena are startlingly precise, producing tones that resonate in ways seemingly too sophisticated to be accidental. Could these effects have been part of ritual performance, designed to convey messages or evoke particular emotional states in participants? Or were they incidental byproducts of advanced hydraulic engineering, appreciated later as an unintended but powerful feature? Either way, the tunnels of Chavin illustrate a rare convergence of sensory experience and physical environment, inviting speculation about the knowledge, skill, and intent of the builders. Comparisons with other ancient subterranean systems around the world reveal both similarities and distinctions. From the hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx in Egypt to underground labyrinths in Anatolia, civilizations have often constructed subterranean spaces for purposes that blend utility, ritual, and symbolism. Yet the Chavin tunnels stand out for their integration with water and sound, creating a multisensory experience that connects human perception directly with the physical environment. The sophistication of such integration raises questions about the intellectual and spiritual life of the Chavin civilization. What guided their designs, and what did they hope to achieve through these subterranean journeys? Despite centuries of study, the tunnels continue to defy simple explanation. Their precise function, whether ceremonial, symbolic, hydraulic, or protective, remains unresolved. Yet in their ambiguity lies their power. These passages invite the imagination to wander, prompting reflection on the interplay of technology, ritual, and human perception. They are spaces designed to provoke awe, to challenge understanding and to connect participants with forces both tangible and intangible. Standing at the entrance of a narrow, echoing passage, one feels the weight of centuries pressing in from the surrounding stone. The air is cool, the sound of distant water reverberates, and the mind is drawn to the question of purpose. Who walked these tunnels before us, and what knowledge or experience did they carry? Were they priests conducting rites, initiates seeking enlightenment, or perhaps laborers unaware of the full significance of their work? Each step through the subterranean corridors is a journey not only through space, but through time, tracing the intentions of a culture whose voice speaks through stone and water rather than words. Ultimately, the subterranean passages of Chavin de Huantar endure as both an engineering marvel and a profound mystery. They remind us that the ancient world is not merely a record of monuments and artifacts, but a landscape of experience, where architecture, environment, and human perception intersect in ways that continue to elude full understanding. And as we contemplate these hidden corridors, questions remain. What other secrets lie buried beneath the ceremonial platforms? What knowledge, lost to time, guided the hands that carved these tunnels into the Andean bedrock? And most hauntingly, what remains unseen, waiting to be discovered in the hidden passages of a civilization that continues to challenge our assumptions about antiquity, engineering, and human ingenuity? From the subterranean passages of Chavin de Huantar, where tunnels carved into Andean bedrock whisper of ancient rituals, our journey now turns northward across continents and centuries to the rugged valleys of northern Italy. Here, amidst the towering peaks and serene meadows of Lombardy, lies the Val Camonica Valley, a landscape etched not only by rivers and glaciers, but by the hands of generations long vanished. Across its cliffs, boulders, and rocky slopes, one encounters an extraordinary tapestry of human expression. Tens of thousands of petroglyphs carved into stone over millennia, yet their meaning remains a profound enigma. Val Camonica is a region of breathtaking natural beauty, its landscape a mosaic of lush valleys, rushing streams, and jagged peaks that have long inspired human settlement. The petroglyphs here, dating from as early as 8000 BC to as late as 1000 BC, stretch across time with an uncanny continuity. Thousands of figures, warriors, animals, geometric patterns, and enigmatic symbols cover the surfaces of stones, their lines carved with skill and precision. At first glance, the carvings appear straightforward, depictions of hunting scenes, domestic life, or religious ritual. Yet, as one studies the details, patterns emerge that defy easy explanation. Many of the figures are anthropomorphic, portraying human forms in postures and arrangements that suggest not only daily activity but also symbolic or ritualistic meaning. Some carry bows, spears, or other implements, yet others seem engaged in dances or ceremonial gestures that remain obscure to the modern observer. Interspersed among these human forms are animals, both familiar, deer, bears, and horses, and fantastical, with hybrid features or exaggerated proportions. What did these images signify to the people who carved them? Were they storytelling devices, spiritual conduits, calendars, or records of celestial phenomena? The variety and sheer scale of the carvings suggest a complexity of thought and culture that invites deep curiosity. Geometric motifs, lines, spirals, and abstract symbols are among the most baffling elements of the petroglyphs. Spirals, concentric circles, and intersecting lines recur with remarkable regularity across sites separated by kilometers. Could these geometric forms encode knowledge, mathematical, astronomical, or spiritual, that has since been lost? Some researchers argue that the carvings may represent star maps or cosmological diagrams, reflecting an understanding of celestial cycles embedded in visual art. Others propose that the petroglyphs encode social, territorial, or ritual information, functioning as mnemonic devices to preserve cultural memory in the absence of written language. Yet no single theory accounts for the full range of motifs, leaving much to speculation. The techniques employed by the ancient carvers add another layer of intrigue. Petroglyphs were etched into rock surfaces using stone tools, often with astonishing precision. The depth, clarity, and arrangement of certain carvings indicate not only skill, but also careful planning, suggesting that these creations were more than casual expressions. They were deliberate, meaningful acts. Some scholars have noted alignments between carvings and solar or lunar events, raising the possibility that the valley itself functioned as a ceremonial landscape, where the interaction of stone, light, and time reinforced the spiritual or cultural significance of the carvings. Despite centuries of study, many questions persist. The density of petroglyphs varies across the valley, with clusters appearing in locations that seem carefully chosen, on elevated ridges, near watercourses, or along natural pathways. Could these placements have been determined by ritual, spiritual significance, or practical observation points for hunting and navigation? And why are certain motifs repeated across distant sites while others appear uniquely in isolated clusters? The patterning hints at an underlying logic, perhaps now indecipherable, that guided the hands of carvers over thousands of years. Some petroglyphs depict scenes that challenge conventional interpretation. Groups of human figures are arranged in lines, circles, or dynamic interactions whose narrative is unclear. Certain animals are portrayed in ways that emphasize features not seen in reality: elongated limbs, exaggerated antlers, or hybridized forms. Could these figures represent mythological entities, spiritual visions, or symbolic archetypes rather than literal depictions? And if so, what do they reveal about the cognitive and cultural sophistication of the valley's inhabitants? The carvings suggest a worldview in which the ordinary and extraordinary were intertwined, where humans, animals, and possibly unseen forces existed in a complex, interrelated system. Modern researchers have attempted to decode the carvings using a variety of approaches: ethnography, comparative mythology, archaeoastronomy, and statistical analysis of form and frequency. While some patterns emerge, no comprehensive interpretation has gained consensus. Are the spirals and geometric motifs astronomical, symbolic, or purely aesthetic? Do the depictions of ritual processions encode social hierarchies, spiritual journeys, or cosmological cycles? Each answer opens further questions, revealing the petroglyphs not as static records, but as living enigmas that invite ongoing study and contemplation. In addition to their content, the petroglyphs' endurance over millennia is itself remarkable. Subjected to weathering, seismic activity, and human intervention, these carvings have survived with surprising clarity. The resilience of the stone, combined with the skill of their creators, has allowed the carvings to transmit knowledge, or at least mystery, across generations. When one stands before a rock face densely covered with figures, it is impossible not to feel a connection with those long-departed hands, their intentions frozen in the grooves of stone, their world simultaneously familiar and alien. Valcamonicca's petroglyphs also resonate with broader questions about the development of human cognition and culture. Across the globe, from the petroglyphs of North America to the carvings of Scandinavia, ancient peoples express themselves in ways that combine artistry, symbolism, and function. Yet the density, scale, and continuity of Valcamonica are exceptional. What drove generations of people to return to the same sites, carving, refining, and expanding the repertoire of symbols? Were these practices tied to spiritual belief, social cohesion, or the need to encode complex information for survival? Perhaps all of these factors played a role, intertwined in ways that remain hidden beneath the surface of interpretation. Beyond archaeology, the carvings raise philosophical and imaginative questions. As we study their forms, we encounter a silent dialogue across millennia, a conversation with beings whose voices are muted, yet whose intentions are inscribed in stone. How much did they know about their world, their environment, and their place within it? What wisdom or experiences have been lost with the passage of time, leaving only these cryptic traces as testimony? The petroglyphs of Valcamonica remind us that history is not always recorded in written language, but often encoded in visual and spatial forms that demand observation, reflection, and imagination. Even today, new carvings continue to be discovered, sometimes hidden beneath soil or vegetation, revealing that the valley is far from fully understood. With each new find, our understanding of the scale and complexity of Valcamonica shifts, reinforcing the sense that the landscape is a palimpsest, a layered record of human experience that extends across thousands of years. And with each revelation comes renewed wonder. What other patterns, narratives, or knowledge remain concealed within the valley, waiting for those who are willing to look closely and think deeply? Ultimately, the petroglyphs of Valcamonica endure as both artistic expression and profound mystery. They offer a window into the minds, beliefs, and imaginations of prehistoric peoples, yet resist definitive interpretation. They challenge us to consider the interplay of culture, environment, and cognition in the distant past, and to acknowledge the limits of what we know. Standing among these ancient carvings, one cannot help but ask, what secrets were the carvers attempting to preserve, and what knowledge has been lost to the passage of time? How did they perceive the universe, and what messages, if any, were intended for future generations? The Valcamonica petroglyphs remind us that history is not simply a chronology of events, but a tapestry of human thought, belief, and creativity. They endure as silent storytellers, inviting us to wonder, question, and explore. And as we trace the grooves and spirals, the figures and symbols etched into stone over millennia, we are confronted with the enduring truth that some mysteries of human expression may never be fully resolved, yet their allure persists, offering a timeless connection to the minds and hearts of those who came before. From the etched stones of Valcamonica, where the rhythms of ancient human life whisper across millennia, our journey now carries us southward across oceans and continents to the highlands of Peru. Perched above the modern city of Cusco, the former heart of the Inca Empire, lies the formidable site of Sacsayhuaman, a fortress whose sheer scale and architectural precision continue to baffle historians, archaeologists, and travelers alike. Here, massive monoliths, some weighing over 300 tons, are arranged in intricate terraces, their seams so precisely fitted that not even a knife blade can slip between them. Standing before these colossal stones, one cannot help but feel a sense of awe and a profound curiosity. How were they moved, shaped, and positioned with such extraordinary skill? Sacsayhuaman was constructed during the 15th and 16th centuries, serving as both a military fortress and ceremonial complex for the Incas. The site is distinguished by its zigzagging terraces, imposing walls, and enormous limestone blocks that seem almost impossibly placed. Traditional accounts attribute the construction to tens of thousands of Inca laborers, working over decades to quarry, transport, and carve each stone. Yet the logistics of moving and fitting stones of such monumental size remain a mystery, particularly in a landscape of steep hills, narrow ridges, and high-altitude terrain. How could pre-modern civilizations lift, maneuver, and position such colossal blocks with precision that rivals modern engineering? The construction techniques of Sacsayhuaman continue to provoke debate. Each stone is meticulously shaped to interlock with its neighbors, creating a stable structure capable of withstanding earthquakes, an essential consideration in the seismically active region of the Andes. Some blocks feature irregular, polygonal forms, requiring painstaking adjustment to ensure a flawless fit. Could this precision have been achieved with simple tools and trial-and-error craftsmanship? Or was there a deeper understanding of geometry, leverage, and structural physics that has been lost to time? And what inspired the Incas to invest so much labor and ingenuity into such an imposing fortress? Was it primarily military, ceremonial, symbolic, or all of these simultaneously? The enormity of the monoliths raises further questions. Some stones weigh in excess of 300 tons, far exceeding the size of most stones moved by ancient civilizations around the world. The source of the limestone, located kilometers from the site, suggests a Herculean effort in quarrying and transportation. Evidence points to the use of ramps, ropes, and possibly wooden sleds, but the scale of coordination and physical effort required defies easy explanation. Could advanced techniques or knowledge, now forgotten, have enabled the Incas to move these stones with apparent ease? And if so, what other capabilities might have been lost with the passing of generations? Sacsayhuaman's terraces and walls also suggest symbolic and astronomical significance. The zigzagging lines may have represented serpents, a powerful motif in Inca cosmology, and certain alignments correspond with solstices and other celestial events. Could the fortress have functioned not only as a defensive stronghold, but also as a sacred space, where architecture and astronomy intersected to reinforce the spiritual authority of the Inca rulers? The deliberate placement of stones, terraces, and walls implies a holistic vision that combined engineering, cosmology, and ceremony in a single monumental endeavor. The precision of stone fitting is perhaps the most striking feature of Sacsayhuaman. Unlike many ancient constructions where mortar is used to fill gaps, the Incas carved each stone to fit its neighbors perfectly. Some researchers have noted that the wall's polygonal design may have contributed to seismic resilience, allowing the stones to move slightly during tremors without collapsing, a brilliant solution to the challenges of building in earthquake-prone regions. Yet even with this understanding, the skill, patience, and knowledge required to achieve such perfection remains staggering. Could the builders have possessed lost knowledge of stone manipulation or surveying techniques that allowed them to achieve such precision with simple tools? Beyond the technical marvels, Sacsayhuaman carries a rich tapestry of cultural and spiritual meaning. As the fortress and ceremonial center of Cusco, it was a focal point of Inca ritual, military strategy, and governance. The terraces may have hosted large-scale gatherings, processions, and offerings, while the walls themselves projected the power and permanence of the Inca state. How did the builders perceive the relationship between material strength, spiritual authority, and cosmological alignment? And how did these principles shape not only the construction of Sacsayhuaman, but the broader architectural legacy of the Inca civilization? The fortress also prompts us to consider the psychological and social dimensions of its construction. The coordination of labor, the division of tasks, and the organization of resources imply a sophisticated administrative system capable of mobilizing thousands of workers over decades. Yet the knowledge and techniques required to quarry, carve, and fit massive stones must have been transmitted through apprenticeship, observation, and practice, raising questions about the role of memory, ritual, and skill in Inca society. What was the human experience of building Sacsayhuaman, and how did it shape the worldview of those who labored within its shadow? Comparisons with other ancient megalithic sites offer intriguing parallels. From the colossal stones of Baalbek to the terraces of Ollantaytambo, civilizations have repeatedly demonstrated extraordinary abilities to manipulate massive stone with remarkable precision. Yet Sacsayhuaman's combination of sheer scale, interlocking stones, and functional spiritual integration stands apart, suggesting a unique synthesis of engineering ingenuity and cultural vision. Was this an isolated peak of architectural achievement, or part of a broader, interconnected understanding of stone construction and spatial design in the ancient world. Sacsayhuaman's enduring mystery extends beyond its physical construction. The fortress embodies a philosophy of permanence, strength, and cosmic order, yet the exact methods, motivations, and cultural codes that produced it remain partially obscured. Each stone, carefully positioned and expertly fitted, speaks to a lineage of knowledge, artistry, and social coordination that challenges modern assumptions about pre-industrial civilizations. What other principles guided the Incas as they undertook this monumental endeavor? And how might those principles inform our understanding of human ingenuity across time? As we walk the terraces today, amid the shadows of massive stones and sweeping views of Cusco below, it is easy to imagine the builders at work. Hands and tools shaping, moving, and aligning blocks with painstaking care. Yet even in this imagined reconstruction, the questions persist. How exactly did they achieve this level of precision, and why? Were there techniques, lost to history, that enabled them to manipulate enormous stones with skill that rivals modern engineering? And beyond the technical, what messages were encoded in the walls and terraces for both the living and the divine? The giant monoliths of Sacsayhuaman endure as more than a fortress. They are a testament to human ambition, ingenuity, and the intersection of the material and spiritual. They remind us that ancient civilizations were capable of feats that continue to inspire awe and curiosity. And as we contemplate these massive stones, their interlocking precision, and the vision of the people who built them, we are compelled to ask, what secrets still lie hidden in the design and construction of Sacsayhuaman? What knowledge, now lost, guided these remarkable hands? And what might future generations uncover as they continue to explore, study, and reflect upon this extraordinary site of human achievement?